Chapter 1765. The magnificent light and shadow stared at the entire Angel Main planet. The majesty exuding from his body shocked all the life on this planet. The fear that came from the bottom of their hearts and even their souls was something they had never encountered before. The pressure of the life level was not something they could resist. Only a few could barely stand and look at the light and shadow with their own will. Die or live. It was like the incantation of judgment. It gave them a choice. No one dared to doubt the authenticity of this sentence. I've said it before. I've only come because I want you all to transcend to a higher level. Carl looked at Keisha and Qianrenxue, whose expressions had changed greatly, and said lightly, "Not only you, but also all the life in this universe. Our civilization can't explore beyond this universe. The big clock can only calculate the civilizations within the universe. The universe model deduced can't go beyond this universe itself. Just like the divine body technology, your divine body is already the top divine body in this universe. But in the universe model deduced by the big clock, what is above the divine body? Is there anything that can surpass your divine body? There is, but the big clock can't deduce it. In the universe model, there is no such civilization technology, because it has already surpassed the limits of this universe. I originally thought that the void matter could surpass this civilization, but later, when I became an illusory body, I realized that it still wasn't." Carl shook his head. "So, I know that if I want to transcend this universe, obtain a higher civilization technology, and study beyond this universe, I can only communicate with a higher level of life. I was lucky to meet my lord." He used a flat tone to simply explain everything. Keisha's expression calmed down. She looked at the light and shadow. Sure enough, those who could walk with Carl were not good people. She did not doubt that if they did not choose to submit, this magnificent life like the light and shadow might destroy them and even the universe. "We walk different paths," Keisha said lightly. "It turns out that you are still you. In order to study your ultimate fear, in order to study more powerful civilization technology, we were able to easily slaughter the lives of many planets. It was destined that we could not be on the same path." "That's right," Qianrenxue said coldly. "Not only are you not on the same path as us, you are not on the same path as most of the civilizations in this universe. After the Galactic War, I thought that you would change your mind a little. Looks like you can't change your nature." Carl didn't say anything else. He simply turned around to look at the figure of light and knelt in the void. "My lord, they do not intend to worship your power and wisdom." After that, Carl turned around and looked at Keisha, Qianrenxue, and the thousands of lives on the main planet of angels. "At your level, I can't understand why you still view those ordinary lives as important." Carl shook his head. "It's impossible to get in touch with a higher level of civilization and strength without paying a price. Whether it was when I was researching the ultimate fear or now, it's all the same. This was actually not wrong. Keisha, Tianxiu monarch, even if today didn't exist, if you want to surpass your own civilization and surpass the limits of this universe," Carl continued, "even if today's situation didn't exist, sooner or later, you will still face destruction. If you want to get in touch with a higher level of civilization and wisdom, you have to pay a price." After he finished speaking, the surroundings were very quiet. "You're right," Keisha suddenly said. "There is indeed a price to pay. But the premise is that it depends on who it is. As for the one behind you, judging from your nature, it's incompatible with our belief." Carl was slightly stunned. Qianrenxue also snorted coldly, as if he understood what Keisha was referring to. "Since I can be resurrected today, I know that I've already gotten in touch with it," Keisha said lightly. "You mean?" Carl was slightly stunned. Suddenly, he felt that the figure of light behind him dimmed slightly. It was as if the god's radiance was slightly covered by something. A figure slowly rose up from below. It was the king. the main character of today's ceremony. Which faction of God are you from? A calm voice resounded through the sky. It was a special kind of mental voice that caused the void to vibrate continuously. The voice seemed to be encrypted, and other lives couldn't understand it at all. They could only feel a strange mental power passing by chaotically. In an instant, the figure of light trembled slightly. Probably understood this sentence. Or rather, it was somewhat shocked that there was such a level of existence in this universe. Wang Feng, hurry up and get rid of this figure of light immediately. Qian Rinxue's eyes were filled with anger. When the figure of light appeared, the pressure on the soul level made her very unhappy. It was as if she was forced to kneel by something. This kind of pressure that was difficult to resist was simply trampling and despising all life in this universe. However, she had to admit that the other party had the strength to do so. Don't worry, Wang Feng said. He glanced at Keisha. I know. At this time, Carl slowly said, you can resurrect Keisha so quickly, so you must be an existence that transcends this universe. But my lord is different. Of course not. Wang Feng didn't answer. Keisha smiled faintly and said, the two have different ideas about civilization. How can it be the same? I'm talking about the difference in power level. Carl shook his head and said. Wang Feng smiled and didn't answer. At his level, he wouldn't argue with a stubborn guy like Carl. He would lower his own level for no reason. Now, he only needed to wait for the latter to announce his name and then kick him out of this universe. Otherwise, he would serve him with the Pangu axe. Wang Feng wasn't afraid of offending the divine system universe now. He had already offended them. I am the god of death of the Crow divine system. Who are you? Which divine system are you from? I haven't heard of any gods interfering in this universe. I discovered this not long ago. At this time, a mental transmission fell into Wang Feng's mind. God of Death, what a cliché title. In fact, Wang Feng knew that such titles were abbreviations. In fact, there was a series of suffixes. Wang Feng knew a little about the Crow divine system. It was all told by the red deity Fox Emperor. In the divine system universe, it was ranked much higher than the Dongguang divine system. There were many gods in it, but its overall strength was only in the lower middle of the divine system universe. I don't care if you discovered it or not. You're interfering now, Wang Feng said faintly. Since you don't know me, that's even better. Get out of here. How dare you? In an instant, the god of death was furious. Don't you know the rules? Even if two gods are interested in the same universe at the same time, there is no intention to ask the other gods to get out. You're provoking me. Tell me your name. Wang Fengxin laughed secretly. There was indeed no such rule in the divine system universe. Generally, when two gods were interested in the same universe at the same time, most of them would fight through the clans they obtained in the universe. For example, Karl and Holy Kaisha were already Heaven Cultivation King. But in fact, Holy Kaisha and Heaven Cultivation King weren't considered Wang Feng's clans. There was another situation, which was to directly start a war between gods. Whoever won would have the development rights of the universe. But now, the hunting situation. The divine system universe initiated the universe hunt. It was an activity that was held once every tens of thousands of years. The rewards were very generous, and the rules of the rewards were to see which god obtained the most development rights of the universe. Generally, it was used to reward gods who were at the stage of false gods or had just entered the stage of gods. Wang Feng didn't know the details of the rewards because he had never been to the divine system universe. The Crimson Deity Fox Emperor had never participated in such a universe hunt because it was internal. Native gods weren't qualified to participate. The key was that this universe hunt required one to be a false god who had not experienced any Genesis calamity and had just obtained the will of the universe to become a heavenly god. Therefore, the god of death in front of him was either a false god or a demigod. or a heavenly god who was similar to Emotiance, who had obtained the will of the universe but had not experienced the Genesis calamity. And this type, Wang Feng was the most proficient in dealing with it. Name. Wang Feng said indifferently, "This god is called Ancestor God. I come from a place called Douluo Universe." Did you hear that clearly? This was true, but in fact, although he came from the Douluo universe, most of his strength came from the Chaos universe. Douluo universe. Why does this god sound familiar? Wait, which native god are you? The god of death immediately reacted. This reaction made Wang Feng sigh. It seemed like the war between gods had caused a huge commotion in the divine system universe. That's right. The god of death was stunned for a moment, and then he suddenly burst into laughter. I was wondering who it was. You are just an indigenous god of heaven. The battle between you and the fake god of the Donghuang divine system is known by all the gods in the entire divine system universe. Now that the war between gods has not started, you dare to provoke the gods of other divine systems. A native god is a native god. You know nothing about our divine system universe. This god advises you to scram back to your universe and think about how to survive the war between gods. If you beg this god might be able to give you some pointers. Otherwise, with your strength, no matter how strong you are, you will definitely lose the war between gods. This universe will definitely be mine. The god of death's tone suddenly changed. After knowing Wang Feng's identity, he wasn't afraid at all. They were both heavenly gods. He understood that Wang Feng's actual combat strength might be stronger than his. But so what? With this guy's dangerous situation, it was impossible for him to deal with him. Just the war between gods was enough to make him helpless. Now that he came to another universe, it was very likely that he wanted to increase his strength and hunt for life in this universe. Then it seems that there is no room for discussion. Wang Feng shrugged. You want to attack this god? The god of death wasn't afraid at all. To tell you the truth, you can't kill me. My true body is in the divine realm. What came down now is just a consciousness. If you destroy this consciousness, you will offend this god and indirectly offend our crow divine system. Native god, this god advises you to think clearly. It's not a big deal for you to offend a false god of Donghuang divine system in the divine system universe. You are a native god. As long as you can correct your attitude and find a strong god of the divine system universe to be your backer. Even if you lose the war between gods, nothing will happen to you. If you continue to offend the gods of the divine system universe, by then, there will be no place for you in the entire divine system universe. You and that false god haven't alarmed the primordial universe god. You still have a chance. Do you understand? The god of death finished slowly. I don't understand. Wang Feng shook his head. I only know that your true body is in the divine realm, but once this consciousness avatar is gone, your path to becoming a god will come to an end. The god of death was right. The gods of the divine system universe wouldn't die so easily. Usually, their true bodies were in the divine realm. They wouldn't directly use their true bodies to hunt other universes. Like these universes, if they directly sent down their consciousness avatars, the gods of this universe wouldn't be able to resist at all. If their true bodies came, it would cause great damage to this universe. Sure enough, hearing this, the god of death immediately fell silent. Do you think I will be afraid of your crow divine system or your divine system universe? Wang Feng's eyes flashed with a strange light. The next moment, he clenched his fist in the void. In an instant, an extremely terrifying aura spread out from his body. Back off! Wang Feng shouted in a low voice. On the other hand, the primal chaos green lotus bloomed, turning into a black lotus and falling into the sky. Then it enveloped the entire main planet. The light avatar of the god of death was in the universe, not on this planet. It was just that its body was too big, so it looked like it was enveloping the entire planet, and the true soul of Pangu Axe was too powerful. Once it attacked, a trace of its remaining aura would be enough to destroy this planet directly. It might even implicate the Angel Nebula, and the many civilizations and technologies on Angel Nebula wouldn't be able to protect it. If Wang Feng didn't protect it, all of his people would be gone before he attacked. The first thing Qian Renxue did when he heard Wang Feng's voice was to pull Holy Kaisha back to the ground. He saw Wang Feng rise into the void, and his figure seemed to be infinitely enlarged. A transparent light that illuminated the entire world flickered. It shook the sky, and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. It was an extremely dazzling axe light, and it struck the magnificent light avatar. Violent shock waves spread out in all directions with the Angel Nebula as the center. Countless meteorites and planets were shattered at this moment. Fortunately, there were no life planets in the galaxies near the Angel Nebula. After all, the angels wouldn't allow other life forms to become their neighbors. The light avatar shattered in an instant. The god of death couldn't even speak before it turned into countless particles and dissipated in the entire universe. But before it died, as if it had seen a power that it had never seen before, or perhaps it had seen something, a hint of fear appeared in its eyes. The error-free chapters of, starting from Douluo, will continue to be updated in the new Booksy Pavilion. There are no advertisements in the website. Please bookmark and recommend the new Booksy Pavilion. If you like to start from Douluo, please bookmark. New Booksy Pavilion updates the fastest from Douluo. Chapter 1766. Like the Big Bang of the universe, the light figure of the god of death was split apart by a resplendent axe light. In the entire universe, an extremely dazzling light erupted. All of this happened suddenly and quickly. There was no lingering battle, nor was there any aftermath of the battle. There was also no change in the rules of the universe. It was as if the most tyrannical power had torn apart all the rules and restrictions. That kind of power couldn't be defined by any scientific rules. The starry sky was silent. The light figure that emitted supreme divine power, the mysterious life form behind Karl, was gone so easily. Not only was it gone, that axe light seemed to be able to directly split the entire universe. At this moment, all the life forms that felt this scene of silence seemed to be able to touch the pulse of the universe. They could hear the rhythm and tremble of the universe under this power, as if it would also be broken under this attack. That was an unparalleled power. This was the will of splitting open the heavens contained in Pangu Act. A supreme power that could break through everything. In the words of the ancient world, it was the power to prove one's Tao with strength. Wang Feng had already comprehended most of the will of the universe in Pangu Act's true soul. Compared to an ordinary universe-level life form, he was only missing the initial wheel calamity. Although he still lacked a physical body to fuse the three souls and three bodies and reach a perfect state. However, the three bodies all had the strength of a universe-level life form. The three souls were all initial wheel souls, and the three bodies each had their own strength. And there were no restrictions, they could be used individually. Among them, the strongest was naturally Pangu Act's true soul, because it contained the will of splitting open the heavens. It was enough for Wang Feng to touch the universe-level life form, even if this body hadn't condensed its physical body yet. As for the other bodies, the body of the Origin Tribulation godly king of the god world still lacked the last source of Qian Renxue's body to be able to fuse with the will of the universe passed down by the Origin Tribulation godly king. And the physical body had the will of the heavenly embryo that was cultivated together with Shiyu, so its strength was naturally not weak. The body in the Douluo world was nurtured by the primal chaos green lotus. The primal chaos green lotus was different from Pangu Act's true soul, it didn't contain any will of the universe. However, the primal chaos green lotus had all kinds of mysteries, and that body had been nurtured by the primal chaos green lotus, so it was equally powerful. The consumption is not small. Wang Feng stood in the void and murmured, this was a consciousness clone of the god of death. Only the Pangu axe could kill it with its supreme power, but it consumed a lot of energy. However, the god of death must have been severely injured. He had just become a heavenly god, but he was already severely injured. Wang Feng didn't even need to think about it. This god of death's future was bleak. The competition in the godly system universe was even more terrifying. As for taking revenge on him, it didn't matter. Wang Feng was not afraid at all. The War of Gods had been signed. After all, it was an agreement written by several supreme gods of the Donghuang divine system. Even if the god of death wanted to deal with him, the most he could do was launch a battle of gods. Putting aside whether he was willing or not, it would be difficult for their god system to agree to it. Luo Li of the divine system universe sect. The battle between me and the fake god of the Donghuang divine system has attracted the attention of many gods in the divine system universe. Wang Feng's face was expressionless, but he had already calculated everything clearly in his heart. The Crow divine branch won't dare to act recklessly. Unless I directly kill their god, however, the gods would not fall so easily. The gods rarely used their true bodies in their divine realms. Usually, they would stay in their divine realms and spread their thoughts across the universe, which was enough to conquer many unit universes. Only during the War of Gods would their divine realms and true bodies move together. This universe is considered peaceful now. Wang Feng turned around and floated down leisurely. With his strength, he would naturally be able to crush a mere clone formed from faith consciousness. Otherwise, Mo Tiance wouldn't have died so miserably. However, even a clone of the consciousness of faith couldn't be defeated in this universe. Otherwise, when Qian Rinxue returned to the Douluo world and encountered Mo Tiance's clone, he wouldn't have died so miserably. Moreover, the god of death's strength was above Mo Tiance. When he landed in the sky above the angel main star, Wang Feng realized that the power of the will of the universe was simply a blow to these life forms. It was like a human stepping on an ant, and the ant didn't even know how it died. Sluggish. Even Holy Keisha, who stood at the peak of this universe, and the villain Karl were the same. Especially Karl. In his eyes, besides sluggishness, there was also confusion. He wasn't shocked. Emotions like shock didn't seem to exist to him. Or rather, everything that happened in front of him had exceeded the category of shock. It reached a level that they couldn't understand. There was only confusion and confusion. Even Karl was like this, let alone the other life forms. The strange stillness wasn't broken by Wang Feng. After several days, these life forms from various galaxies in the universe barely digested some of it and gradually woke up from that state. Qian Rinxue was fine. After all, she was already mentally prepared. In addition, she had an in-depth conversation with Wang Feng and was also shocked. What do you plan to do next? In the palace, Qian Rinxue looked at those statue-like life forms and asked. It's about time to leave. Wang Feng pondered and said, I made the snow epiphyllum for you. It contains the technology that can directly reach the divine body, as well as the anti-void engine that can crack void power. It took some effort, but it's enough to make the warriors of your angel civilization become stronger quickly. It's different from the divine system universe directly giving you the divine power of their universe. This method won't imprint you with the traces of their divine system universe. You'll only be controlled by them. In the end, even your soul and will belong to the god. But the speed of improvement may be slower. The gods in the divine system universe relied on believers to sacrifice and provide faith as the price to bestow divine power. However, although the divine power bestowed by the gods in the divine system universe was powerful and didn't have any side effects, it contained the will and spirit of the gods. Any life form would be greatly improved after receiving it, but they would also gradually lose their own will. Only the gods were supreme. In the mind, there was only the gods they believed in. It was difficult to have self-thought. The starting point of everything was the gods, even the thoughts. Therefore, the clans under the gods in the divine system universe would never betray them. There was no possibility of betrayal. However, the upper limit of the strength of these clans wouldn't be very high. Unless it was the kind of life form that had the power of destiny and could become a spirit paragon of the gods. The upper limit would be much stronger. But it couldn't be compared to the gods. The god of death let Carl and Cold Chill come to the Angel Nebula to participate in the ceremony. Naturally, he wanted to capture all the life forms in this universe with the power of destiny. Put them in his pocket. If one didn't consider the standpoint, the system of the divine system universe could be said to have no obvious shortcomings. It was just that it lacked some humanity. Of course, how could the gods consider humanity? To them, they only needed to bestow power to their believers, and the believers believed in them. They could have their own thoughts. However, the believers didn't need to have any extra thoughts in their minds other than believing in themselves. They belonged to the kind that taught people fish. Wang Feng belonged to the kind that taught people fish. They could become stronger. However, the upper limit of Wang Feng's kind was very high, and the shortcomings were also very obvious. Even if these life forms produced the power of faith, it might not be so stable. Wang Feng also didn't imprint his own mark on them. Perhaps they would surpass Wang Feng and really become universe-level life forms one day. From chess pieces to half a chess player, it was even possible to play chess with Wang Feng. If you do this when the time comes, if we angels betray you, will you be very angry? Asked Qianrenxue. No. Wang Feng shook his head. My main force is the ancestral realm. Not you. Wang Feng pinched his chin and said, I just want to use the power of faith produced by your angels to condense a body of faith for my last clone, and then connect with the ancestral realm to develop it. Qianrenxue curled his lips, not very satisfied with Wang Feng's answer. We angels won't betray you. At this time, an elegant and gentle voice sounded from outside. It was the second Keisha who woke up from her trance. At least, I can guarantee that when I, Keisha, am still here, it won't happen. She stared at Wang Feng seriously, as if making some kind of noble oath. Wang Feng didn't answer. He didn't follow the way of the divine system universe, and he couldn't guarantee it himself. However, Wang Feng did feel the power of faith, and it began to be produced continuously. Most of it was from the angels, because he was the king, the man who was the rightful king of heaven. Wang Feng's silence made Keisha a little silent. After a while, she knelt on one knee as if making some kind of noble salute. A stream of pure faith power rose from her body in an endless stream. It was the power of faith that represented the spirit and will of the Angel King. It wasn't majestic and turbulent, but it was pure and had a long history. It had to be said that the power of faith produced by a life form at Keisha's level was terrifying. It was indeed terrifying. Wang Feng was a little stunned. From the system of the divine system universe, the power of faith at Keisha's level could only be regarded as a standard believer. It didn't match her identity, status, and strength. With the means of the god of death, the power of faith produced by a life form at Keisha's level could easily reach the level of a fanatic or even a clan. After all, it was imprinted with divine power, the mark of a god. The level of the power of faith would be greatly increased. However, Wang Feng was able to sense that the power of faith was increasing. This was a little special. It meant that even if Wang Feng didn't need to do anything, the level of this power of faith would slowly increase. Justice needs strength. Keisha stood up, her gaze distant. The maintenance of order can't be separated from powerful strength. Compared to the god behind Carl, I think you are more suitable for us. I know that if we, the Angel Nebula, really submit to the latter, we may be able to obtain more powerful strength in a short period of time, just like what Carl said. But I think that by then, we angels may not be angels anymore. Carl is willing to sacrifice his will in order to pursue a higher level of civilization, but we angels won't. Then why? Qian Renxue was puzzled. I gave up my faith in strength, but my will didn't change at all. Keisha shook her head. The will of justice and order will not disappear in the universe. Qian Renxue was silent. As the king who overturned the order of the celestial palace, the Sky Blade King who led the angels to prosperity, the Angel King who stood at the peak of the universe, had a unique way of thinking and thinking about power. Wang Feng smiled. With Keisha's potential, it was certain that she would become a universe-level life form. After all, she was very close to that step, but also very far away. Just like Qian Renxue. If the gods of the divine system universe were to teach her, she could become the right-hand man of the gods, a soul venerable. Wang Feng didn't care. He only needed the power of faith. Compared to the power of faith produced by countless lives in the Douluo world, the power of faith produced by this angel king was very terrifying. After all, the level of life was different. If there was a unit conversion, the power of faith produced by millions of people in the Douluo world might not be as strong as the power of faith produced by Keisha. Of course, the two couldn't be compared. Keisha was already a powerhouse who stood at the peak of the universe. The Douluo world had just developed, and after a few more years, countless powerhouses would be born there. It might not be incomparable. At the same time, the source of the power of faith was different. After all, Wang Feng was only a soul renderer who founded the Douluo world. But here, what he did was not comparable to founding a soul renderer. Not to mention other things, just the establishment of the snow epiphyllum was enough to change the ecology of the universe. As Holy Keisha gradually woke up, the other lives also gradually woke up. With the angel as the center, a wave of power of faith that wasn't strong, but was tenacious and had a source began to slowly produce. The production was slow because they felt endless admiration for the power of Wang Feng, the king. King, this wasn't just a title. It also symbolized a noble status. With the addition of this status, the production of the power of faith was very smooth. At the same time, these angels hadn't been affected by the snow epiphyllum yet. When the Qian Renxue used the snow epiphyllum in her body on the Angel Nebula, at that time, the improvement of the level of civilization would allow the angels to produce more power of faith for him, the king. After all, even Keisha, the Heavenly Blade King, had developed faith, so the other angels naturally wouldn't have any doubts, waiting for them to completely digest the impact of this ceremony. The power of faith would slowly be produced faster until a critical point. What surprised Wang Feng was that there were also many fanatical believers of the power of faith. Angel Yu was the best example. This little angel had already developed faith in him since the beginning in the ancestral realm. Now, it was several levels higher, reaching a very exaggerated level. After staying in the Angel Nebula for a few days, Wang Feng felt that the absorption of the power of faith was not bad. At the same time, one after another, Wang Feng also felt that the lives of other civilizations had also begun to produce different amounts of power of faith. They were probably all shocked by that battle. The power that surpassed the universe was enough to make many civilizations fanatical and excited. Regarding this, Wang Feng didn't say much. In fact, just the faith of the Angel Nebula was enough for him to condense a body of faith. Because before end of this chapter. Chapter 1767. Angel Planet. In just a few days, Wang Feng had absorbed enough power of faith. It's about time to leave. Wang Feng pondered. His original plan was to leave after the ceremony. However, the god of death's intervention was unexpected for Wang Feng, but it was still under control. I wonder how Yanqingjue is doing, Wang Feng couldn't help but think. Just in case, Wang Feng didn't leave immediately. He was mainly worried that after he left, the god of death would come here again, which would be a little troublesome. The god of death didn't come, But if the gods of other god system universes found this universe, they wouldn't let it go. For this reason, Wang Feng planned to leave a backup plan. And the backup plan was somewhat related to the system of the god system universes. Wang Feng only needed to build a wormhole passage between this universe and the ancestral realm. In other words, it was connected to the ancestral realm. The ancestral realm, for Wang Feng, was equivalent to the realm of the gods of the god system universes. In this way, if the god of death or other gods invaded this universe again, Wang Feng would be able to sense it immediately. The key to the connection was naturally the power of faith. The location was chosen on the angel planet. Wang Feng originally wanted to consider other locations, but Qian Renxue didn't agree. I know why you brought Keisha back to life. If you want me to leave this place, I can do so, Qian Renxue said. I can even give you the final strand of Tribulation Origin Godking's quintessence. I can agree to this condition. After all, the snow epiphyllum you created can make up for that origin for me. But I may not leave this universe. Moreover, you built a passage to the ancestral realm here, so I can go to the ancestral realm at any time. There's no need for me to follow you. In short, Qian Renxue wanted to say that she didn't want to follow him. She didn't want to rely on him. In this regard, Wang Feng naturally had nothing to say. He could only sleep with her. The angel planet. Streaks of snow-white rainbow-like great Dao lay across the entire planet. The planet of the angels looked just like the angels themselves, full of holy light. This main planet wasn't actually very big, but it was strong enough. Wang Feng tore open a wormhole in the void, establishing a path to the ancestral realm. The passage was condensed by Wang Feng using the power of faith. This meant that as long as the faith continued, this passage would not close. As a special channel, Wang Feng only told Qian Renxue Keisha, He-She, and a few other core members of the Angel Nebula. Right, what about Carl and Cold Eyes? After a few days of sleeping, Qian Renxue had loosened up a lot, but it was unlikely that she would leave this universe. However, with the passage, she could enter the ancestral realm at any time. After that day, Carl's strength greatly decreased, and he returned to the Nether River civilization. But it's too difficult for him to die. Keisha shook her head slightly. With our strength, we can't destroy him. At least, it's impossible in this universe. After saying that, her gaze fell on Wang Feng. Carl was a ticking time bomb. It was extremely troublesome. But it couldn't be destroyed. Even if the consciousness clone of the god of death was killed by Wang Feng, Carl wouldn't die. This was because the god of death had only given Carl a physical body. After the god of death's consciousness clone was killed, his connection with this universe was cut off. Then the power he gave would also disappear. So Carl just lost his physical body and returned to his original illusory state. However, in the battle that day, Tian Xiu Monarch could temporarily attack Carl's illusory state. Of course, Keisha understood that it wasn't Tian Xiu Monarch's power. It was His Majesty's power. So, only this His Majesty could deal with Carl. Carl, Wang Feng muttered. There were many ways to deal with Carl. It was just an illusory state. Not to mention that he had the nihility origin. Even if he didn't have it, he could use the snow oxypetalum to directly deduce this universe, and then modify Carl from the definition of the universe's matter. But that would take more time. Wang Feng didn't plan to stay in this universe for too long. He had more important things to do. Why don't you turn him into your believer? Qian Renxue said. Keisha, who was standing at the side, immediately stopped talking. That's a good idea. He-She smiled. Carl has the big clock. His only interest might be to research civilization and become a higher-level life form. King, you're stronger than the god behind him. With Carl as your believer, it would be hard for him to cause any trouble in this universe. Wang Feng remained silent. What about Cold Eyes? Qian Renxue asked again. Cough. Keisha coughed. I'll take care of her. I hope you can trust me. This king will definitely pull her back to the right path. Wang Feng nodded. Biku Uebiku. Uebik, I'm going to Styx Galaxy. Wang Feng glanced at them and disappeared from Angel Planet. After he left, can Carl become his believer? Keisha frowned. His Majesty's methods are too gentle. The god behind Carl is clearly not like that. Carl was able to trust him before only because that guy's power affected Carl, plus Carl's own will and pursuit. Unless he uses methods similar to that god. Keisha didn't know about the god system's universe. Therefore, the method she mentioned was actually the god's method of developing his clan. If it's like us, Carl isn't our angel. Keisha shook her head. If he wants to betray us, it'll be easy. Although Keisha's words had the intention of elevating the angel, it was also a materialization. Qianrenxue and she didn't object. Even if it was any universe civilization that heard this, they wouldn't object. Let's see what he does, Qianrenxue said in a low voice. Styx civilization. Compared to Angel Planet, the Styx civilization was dark and lonely. The entire interior of the civilization nebula was like a room without light. It was dead silent. Inside the nebula, in a dark room, in the hollow room, only a little starlight shone down from the roof. Carl stood under the starlight, dead silent. His illusory body was vague. He looked like an image that lacked energy, as if he would disappear at any time. A figure appeared in the room without anyone noticing. You're here. Carl closed his eyes. Since you're here, let's do it. After that day, that god's majestic light figure was destroyed by Wang Feng's axe. And Carl didn't suffer at the first moment. Because he was immortal in this universe. As long as Wang Feng didn't deal with him, no life in this universe could kill him at this stage. He returned to the Styx civilization. Losing his physical body was just losing the power given to him by the god of death. To him, there was no loss at all. Wang Feng didn't say anything. Compared to the previous Carl, the one in front of him didn't change much. But there were still subtle differences. Wang Feng slowly opened his palm. A ray of light bloomed from his palm. It was a fragment emitting a faint light. There seemed to be stars flowing inside the fragment, and it also seemed to hide the universe, moving rhythmically. A terrifying aura lingered around this fragment, like a giant dragon, moving in Wang Feng's palm. The fragment was the size of a fingernail, but it seemed to have the power to destroy the entire universe. Carl was immediately attracted to this fragment. He felt an unprecedented power. It was an unknown and powerful power. It was also a power that could easily destroy him. Chapter 1768. Before you die, can you tell me what this is? Carl asked slowly. The will of the universe. Wang Feng answered calmly. What was the will of the universe? When Wang Feng first came into contact with the will of the universe, he didn't quite understand it. If the origin power represented the end of the world, then the will of the universe represented the end of the multiverse. Countless universes had endless wills of the universe. The fragment of the will of the universe in Wang Feng's hand was the will of the galaxy left behind after killing Mo Tian's clone. Under the will, no life form could survive. It was the same for nothingness life forms. No matter how special the life form in the universe was, it was impossible to resist the will power that transcended the universe. For example, Wang Feng didn't need to use the nothingness origin to kill Carl. He only needed to lift the Pengu axe gently. Carl stared at the will fragment in Wang Feng's hand and didn't speak for a long time. He sighed, closed his eyes, and waited for death. Death wasn't scary. For a life form with a noble pursuit like him, death wasn't something he feared. However, after a while, he didn't feel anything. I'm not here to kill you, Wang Feng said slowly. If I really wanted to kill you, you would have died that day. Carl opened his eyes. However, even if I don't kill you, you won't live long. You won't live long either. Wang Feng continued. As an illusory body, you've touched the threshold of this universe, but that's all. Illusory bodies are immortal in this universe and exist forever. However, that's relative. The void essence you're studying is a special energy. That energy was formed by the godlike existence behind you. After his body died and his soul was annihilated, it followed the changes in various universes. You can combine with this energy and possess the power brought by this energy for a short period of time. However, you've accepted the gift from that God and handed over your faith. This means that your spirit and will disappear and you'll become another you. Carl frowned as if he understood something. I'm here to give you a chance. Wang Feng pointed at the fragment in his hand. This contains the broken will of the universe. It's no small matter. I can give it to you to study. If you can study it, you don't need to believe in that God civilization anymore. You can become a stronger life form. You can even upgrade the civilization level of the entire universe. Carl was shocked. He looked at Wang Feng in disbelief. Perhaps it was because he couldn't understand why the other party would hand such an item over to him. Why don't you give it to the angels in the Angel Nebula? Carl looked at Wang Feng calmly. Wang Feng admired Carl's character. Even when he was up against Keisha and Qianrenxue, he was extremely calm. He knew what he wanted and why he was doing it. Although the god of death had granted him a powerful physical body, left behind a divine imprint, and obtained Carl's power of faith, it had only been a short time, and he hadn't truly turned Carl into his own kin. Before you die, make use of your remaining energy. Wang Feng said, you won't be able to research this power, but your research will attract the owner of this broken power. Or perhaps, in the process of research, I will sense the owner of this broken power. This is what I need. Wang Feng had been thinking about how to find Mo Tian's true body. Universe-level life forms were extremely hard to kill. Their power had already surpassed the norm of the universe and most of the rules of the universe. They could transform into tens of thousands of clones and travel through countless star fields and worlds. They could enter another universe and transform into countless particles to circulate and cultivate with the universe. Universe-level life forms might only be one level, but there were tens of thousands of classifications. It was very troublesome to find their true bodies. Now that Mo Tian's willpower was broken, he wasn't a threat to Wang Feng. However, he still had 2 pieces of Yan Qingjue's willpower. Wang Feng had to get them back for Yan Qingjue. It was too troublesome and slow for him to research the broken pieces of the galaxy's willpower. Even if he had the primordial origin, Wang Feng could quickly analyze it. However, he had to deal with the War of the Gods now, and he wouldn't have the time to do that. However, Carl had the ability to do so. What if I really succeed? Carl stared at Wang Feng. Aren't you afraid that I'll deal with you again? Wang Feng smiled. Even if you obtain the complete power of this fragment, you won't be my match. Wang Feng shook his head regretfully. What about this universe? If I really succeed in researching such a powerful power? Carl's eyes reflected the trace of the fragment of willpower, but his tone was extremely calm. Wang Feng smiled again. That was just as well. Universe civilizations were at odds with each other. Let's not talk about whether Carl could really research the power of this fragment. Even if he could, he might not be able to withstand it. He was an illusory body, so he couldn't withstand willpower. Even if he could find another way, and not only did he research it, but he also obtained the willpower of this fragment, he wouldn't be able to reach the universe level. It was just a broken piece of the universe's willpower. Even if Carl really became a universe-level life form, he was still too far away from Wang Feng. As for destroying this universe, Wang Feng wasn't afraid at all. After he left, this universe had been too peaceful. A peaceful universe always needed some waves to stir it up. Otherwise, even if Wang Feng really gave them the power of God, they would only be a group of God's descendants. If they wanted to become a true universe-level life form, they wouldn't be able to do so without going through some hardship. If they wanted to surpass this level, just giving them power wasn't enough. Moreover, Wang Feng didn't directly give them power, but only a possibility. As long as the snow oxypetalum was used properly, it could definitely touch and analyze the universe's willpower. After all, it was created by Wang Feng using his own primordial origin. It was equivalent to a part of the primordial origin. Doing so was equivalent to putting some pressure on the Angel Nebula. Moreover, it was still under Wang Feng's control. Wang Feng left without saying anything else. His smile contained a deep meaning that Carl couldn't understand. He looked up at the starry sky and felt the special energy of the fragment in his palm. His heart was complicated, but it was also surging. Something seemed to be growing in his heart. At this moment, a mysterious voice appeared in Carl's mind. "My descendant, Carl. You're still here." Carl put away the fragment and replied in a pious, religious, and somewhat shocked voice. "My lord. You, aren't you?" "Humph, it's just a clone of mine. It's impossible for him to discover my existence. However, what I didn't expect is that you're not dead. As expected of the descendant that I've chosen. I now know the other party's identity. Listen to my orders and hide in this universe. Next, I will secretly bestow you with even more power if you can complete my mission. I will enter my God realm and receive the glory and praise of the true God. I will surpass this universe and become myriad spirit sovereign. Under my command, I will definitely bring you to a higher civilization." Carl clenched the shard tightly and replied in an even more pious voice, "That's right. Yes." At the same time, Wang Feng went back on his promise to the ancestral realm and planned to condense his last body of faith. At this moment, a voice sounded in his mind. "Ding, you have received an invitation to the Myriad World chat group. Do you want to join?" Wang Feng was stunned and smiled. It seemed that Yan Qingjue was very efficient. Chapter 1769. Wang Feng didn't expect Yan Qingjue to have completed it the moment he returned to the ancestral realm. In the chat group, "Let me see what kind of children of destiny Yan Qingjue has found in the various parallel universes," Wang Fengxin said. Then, he replied in his heart, "Join." The moment he said that, a virtual screen appeared in his mind. Ding! Ancestor God has joined the chat group. Along with the slight vibration on the screen. Yangon waiter. There's a newcomer? Welcome, welcome. Fan Yi, Ancestor God? Although your nickname is given by yourself, the newcomer must have a strong background. Hey, quickly tell me your name. The world can't betray me. The one called Fan Yi, don't interrupt me. You just said that if I go south, I will definitely be defeated at Red Cliff. What a joke. I have hundreds of thousands of troops. How can I be defeated? Tell me clearly. Newcomer, go to the side. Fan Yi, I didn't say that. This is the history of our world. The Battle of Red Cliff has already been recorded in our history books. I really didn't say that. I don't have that ability. Old brother Chow, don't bother me. She ancient Emperor Jade. What are you talking about? Newcomer, which world are you from? Are you a little confused after coming in? Don't be afraid. I only understood this chat group after a long time. If there's anything different, you can ask me. I don't understand what these guys are saying, Lin Fan said with a frown. Wang Feng narrowed his eyes and looked for a while. Good lord, Yan Qingjue is amazing. The people she found are all not simple. Looking at the messages that were flooding the chat group, these seemingly unfamiliar but familiar names, Wang Fengxin applauded Yan Qingjue. Yan Qingjue didn't seem to find ordinary people. Other than the few who spoke, there was one who didn't speak. It was called, Borrow 10,000 Years from the Heavens. Wang Feng could roughly guess the other party's identity and background. Yangon waiter. This must be one of the main characters of a certain era in the legend of the sword and fairy. Speaking of the world of the legend of the sword and fairy. When he was in the dark demon world, Wang Feng had met one of the big shots of the demon world, Chong Lu. They had met once before. Furthermore, back then, Demon Lord Zhong Lu had come to the dark devil world for the sake of cultivation. Yan Qingjue must know it, and she must have been to that world before. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was the son of destiny. As for this Fan Yi, if his nickname was reversed, it would be Yi Fan. He was also an extraordinary figure. When Wang Feng was in the Douluo world, several secret techniques came from Yi Fan's world, the Shrouding Heaven world. Yan Qingju had been to this world before. However, what Wang Feng did not expect was that the Shrouding the Heavens world did not seem to have unfolded yet. In other words, 9 dragons pulling a coffin. This Supreme Emperor, who would one day break the sacred body of the ancients and become the Celestial Emperor, was only an ordinary person at the moment. Not simple. Yan Qingju even found this son of destiny. Wang Fengxin said. He didn't know if this Yi Fan's world was connected to the Shrouding Heaven world that he was familiar with. But based on Yan Qingju's experience, she had interacted with the great emperor of that world, so it was definitely connected. 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. This is not the Do-Chi continent. Wait, this name, should he be from the ancient race or the soul race? Judging from his tone, he doesn't sound like a villain from the soul race. He should be from the ancient race. Could it be? Wang Feng roughly knew who it was. The son of destiny. These 4 words were not ordinary. In their world, they were the will of the world, following the development trajectory of the world, and were the favorites favored by the heavens. As for this world cannot betray me without thinking, he knew that this should be the Emperor of Wei, Chaomengda. That's not right. The worlds these people are in are all mid-high level worlds. The Do-Chi continent can also be compared to the Douluo world. Cao Cao is only a historical figure on Earth. Even if it's a parallel universe, the world he is in is only a feudal world in the era of cold weapons. Wang Feng felt that something was not right. Even if the people in this world had a natural fear of God. But the level of power was too low, and it was obviously incompatible with the world these Sons of Destiny were in. How could Yan Qingju at this moment? The world cannot betray me said, what a joke, fire attack? The soldiers under me are all people with astral bodies, and are not afraid of fire and water. The 5 generals are all capable generals who can pick flowers and fly leaves with one hand and cross a river. Not to mention that my cloud-refining fireboat is impervious to fire and water. Even if it is carried together, there won't be any traces even if the flames burn for 10 days and 10 nights. A mere fire attack, and you want to destroy my 300,000-strong army in Red Cliff? Fan Yi, you are simply spouting nonsense. Fan Yi said, wait. Damn, astral body, picking flowers and flying leaves? Crossing a river? What the hell is this? Could it be that the soldiers of the 3 Kingdoms era were so strong? This is too fantastical. No, no, Brother Chao, your world is definitely not the 3 Kingdoms that I know. Wang Feng was stunned when he saw this. This does not seem to be the 3 Kingdoms in history. This is probably the 3 Kingdoms. Interesting. Wang Fengxin said, among these Sons of Destiny, only that Chaomengda is considered to have status and qualifications. The others are basically in a very young state and are not strong yet. But the world they are in is indeed not bad. Isn't this the source of the power of faith? The power of faith gathered in the Angel Nebula, together with the power of faith from the Douluo world, can create a body of faith. The body of faith is bound to the ancestral realm, and the ancestral realm is equivalent to the God domain of this body of faith. Through this body of faith, I can use the power of faith to greatly accelerate the development of the ancestral realm. The God battle in the God system universe. It was not a battle between 2 gods. It was a battle between two gods, a battle between god domains. The strength of the god domain, the number of races in it, the quality of the races, the level of strength, and so on would all affect the gods themselves and the result of the god battle. Wang Feng's opponent. He was the fake god of the Donghuang god system. Why did he dare to be so arrogant? Once the god battle started, the many races in his god domain, as well as the worlds he belonged to, would all have the power to fight. Combined with the gods themselves, even if they did not get the will of the universe, the overall combat power would reach an unprecedented level. But this level of battle was very troublesome. Once the battle started, it must be done with all its strength, because as long as it involved the god domain, it must be related to the most fundamental power of the gods themselves. In terms of the individual combat power of the gods, the strength of the gods who left the divine realm would be greatly reduced. Even the heavenly gods were much weaker than the native heavenly gods of the outside universe. But once it was a god battle and the god domain collided, the god system universe played a huge role. With the support of billions of power of faith, the gods combined with the god domain, coupled with countless races and spiritual paragons, so on, compared to the native gods who cultivated from their own universe to the universe level, they were weaker. This was the strength of the god system universe. End of this chapter. Chapter 1770. The false god of Donghuang divine system thought that this was the reason why he could defeat the indigenous gods. He was sure to win. Because Wang Feng didn't have a divine domain, he couldn't get a clan like him and the power of faith to develop his divine domain in a short time. Without a divine domain, Wang Feng was just an individual. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't be compared with a false god of the divine system universe. Wang Feng knew that the Crimson Divine Fox didn't think highly of him because of this. If the divine system universe wanted to develop their divine domain, they had to fight for countless worlds and universes, and they had to pay a certain price. For example, the universe hunt held by the divine system universe was a competition of world. Gods from countless factions participated in this competition because they wanted to explore other universes and seize the power of faith. The god of death's luck was pretty good. He was able to find Qian Renshue's universe so quickly. In fact, Wang Feng knew that even if he didn't appear, after the god of death conquered all the civilizations in that universe with Karl as the source, it was possible that he would encounter other gods in the process of his conquest. A more terrible war would break out. However, Wang Feng happened to be related to this universe and returned with Qian Renshue to stop the god of death. Therefore, after knowing the advantages and disadvantages of both sides, Wang Feng was not stupid enough to despise the system of the divine system universe. On the contrary, he wanted to take advantage of this. However, in the eyes of the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor or the false god, it was impossible for him to do so, because time didn't allow it. The gods cultivated by the divine system universe were born as gods and could open up their divine domains when they were a few years old. Occasionally, they would spend hundreds or thousands of years looking for worlds to seize the power of faith, condense the body of faith, and develop clans in their divine domains. The time was extremely long. However, Wang Feng looked at the members of the chat group. This was the first batch of Yan Qingjue in a short time. He had been in the Angel Nebula for only a few days, and he could pull in so many children of destiny. Naturally, the worlds they lived in had not been developed by the God System's universe. There would be more and more in the future. I don't need to turn these children of destiny into my clan. I only need them to have faith in me. Just like Keisha. That way, the world they're in will definitely provide me with an endless supply of faith in the future. To develop a clan, one only needed to bestow divine power and then leave a divine imprint to change the other party's will and faith at the soul level. The error rate of this mode was 0. There were no mistakes or betrayals. Wang Feng didn't think he needed this. The reason was very simple. He was not one of the gods in the God system universe. He didn't rely on the power of faith. He relied on the will of the universe, the power of Pengu's axe, and the power of the Chaos Green Lotus. It was the will of the former great desolate world. The system of using faith power to nurture the ancestral realm was just the essence that Wang Feng had absorbed from the system of the God system universe. That was enough for him. As for time, Wang Feng was not worried at all. Wang Feng could not enter the long river of time in the God system's universe. He would die before even touching it, let alone entering it. However, Wang Feng could enter the river of time in the worlds of these children of destiny. By manipulating the flow of the river of time, the development process would be very fast. 100 days here might be 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years there. Wang Feng's time soul of time origin wheel had the ability to enter the long river of time. After 100 days, Wang Feng believed that the ancestral realm would become an extremely powerful and prosperous deity domain. It would not fall behind the deity domain of those false gods. By then, combining with his own strength, and now, according to the normal progression of the story, I am considered a big boss in the later stages of the story. Joining the chat group, Wang Feng laughed. His current strength, it was indeed too high in the God system universe. After all, that primal cosmos god was indeed a little exaggerated. But in the normal cosmos, he was basically unparalleled. For example, Yi Fan. Not to mention the current Yi Fan, even if Yi Fan became a celestial emperor, it was impossible for him to defeat him. Furthermore, Wang Feng could easily crush him. As a big boss in the later stages of the story, Wang Feng muttered for a moment as he looked at the members of the chat group. Wang Feng did not hesitate to type a few lines. I have become a god named Ancestor God. Eternal, undying, great Tao, freedom, they are all me. I pity the world. If you have any requests, you can call me by my true name. Chant my taboo. This is the Great Tao God Summoning chapter. If you need it, chant this and I will appear. Saying that, Wang Feng used the void to draw and condense the faith energy. Tapping the void with his fingertips, he drew many golden articles. The articles gathered Wang Feng's spirit and willpower. The words were like the immemorial stars shining brilliantly before condensing into several articles. Great Tao God Summoning chapter. Wang Feng used his spirit as the pen, the faith energy as the ink, and the primordial origin source as the foundation to create this Great Tao God Summoning scripture. It would allow these children of destiny to hear the scripture and be able to sense his presence in the world they were in. At the same time, it allowed him to sense the specific location of the other party's world. Saying that, Wang Feng disappeared. These fellows were all children of destiny. They were not simple. Wang Feng did not bestow them with deity imprint. If he wanted them to believe in him in a short period of time, he could only find another way. As a god, he had to maintain the mystery and dignity of a god. There was no need to say too much. Your method is not bad. Yan Qingjue's voice sounded in Wang Feng's mind. Maybe you will be able to develop the ancestral realm soon. The divine realm may not be so unattainable for you. We'll see. Wang Feng said, I have to go back to the ancestral realm now to condense the body of faith. The 9 paths of reincarnation must be established first. What about them? The seeds have been left. What if they don't believe you? You sound like a swindler. Yan Qingjue smiled. I think you should use the system mode I used back then. The system mode is too slow. Wang Feng was speechless. And I have to let them adapt to it one by one. There is also the danger of being exposed at any time. It's better to reveal my identity and tell them that I am a god. That makes sense. Yan Qingjue nodded. If you do this, you can quickly collect the faith energy. After all, these children of destiny are the representatives of the world's will. How are you doing in the Angel Nebula? Wang Feng told her what had happened. It's not very optimistic. Yan Qingjue frowned. The universe hunt at the divine system's universe might have invaded the world where these children of destiny are. The methods there are not as gentle as yours. The speed of erosion is faster. The so-called universe hunt, Wang Feng sneered. It's another kind of war at the divine system's universe. Even if it's an invasion, it's not just one god but many gods. If they really invade a world, they will definitely fight. To me, it's a good thing. Yan Qingjue thought about it and understood. At the same time, following Wang Feng's words, the entire chat group instantly exploded into a frenzy. End of chapter. Chapter 1771. Eternal Peace. Ancestor God? Big brothers, do you know him? He sounds very powerful. A newcomer? A newcomer? The newcomer seems to have left. Is there really a god in this world? A god that can satisfy all needs? Are you kidding me? Immortal Sword World. In a small pawn shop, a man with a ruffian look had a strange look on his face. Then, he laughed. This group is really interesting. Even a god is here. Trying to be mysterious. He yawned a few times. He didn't believe it at all. The world cannot betray me. I believe in God. However, this newcomer is too arrogant. Even if there is a God, how can he be pulled into this chat group? With the greatness of God, I think that only the group leader who can gather all of us from different places in this chat group can possibly be God, right? Fan Yi, Boss Chow, what you said makes sense. I feel that this newcomer is a little Chunibyu, who isn't the God in their dreams who can fulfill all wishes. To Shi Ancient Emperor Jade, that newcomer, God seems to have uploaded something. Great Tao God Summoning Chapter. It's free to download. Do you guys want to take a copy? Eternal Peace, hee if you believe it, take a copy and take a look. To Shi Ancient Emperor Jade. Then, forget it. Although I also feel that God exists, the so-called God is just an existence that is stronger. How can he satisfy our needs? He won't even know who we are. He won't know what kind of people we are. The few of them discussed happily. However, they didn't download the scripture that Wang Feng uploaded. When the chatterboxes in the chat group gradually went to rest, there were no more messages in the chat group. At this moment, the scripture was downloaded once. Ancestral Realm. Master, you are finally back. The ancestral realm was still empty. When Wang Feng returned, the ancestral realm didn't seem to have changed. The 9 paths of reincarnation didn't have power. No sentient lifeforms were born. The only one that was born was Yan Mengyao, who controlled the heavenly Tao. She was the spirit body of the eternal God Slayer. I'm back. Wang Feng nodded slightly. He looked at the land and his eyes flashed. Make some preparations. I plan to condense a body of faith. In the future, I will be one with the ancestral realm. Wang Feng said after taking a deep breath. Yan Mengyao was surprised and immediately nodded. Do you need my help? What can you do to help? Wang Feng waved his hand and cast a sidelong glance at him. Just watch from the side. Yan Mengyao smiled seductively and gently landed beside Wang Feng. Master, don't be like this. Anyhow, I have dual cultivated with the soul. You are condensing the body of faith. As the heavenly Tao of the ancestral realm, I naturally need to condense it with you to better connect with the ancestral realm. I think you're just lusting after my body, right? Wang Feng gently knocked on Yan Mengyao's head. Let's go. The body of faith is very important. You just need to watch from the side. Yan Mengyao helplessly pouted and didn't say anything. Wang Feng gazed at the ancestral realm. Strands of golden light began to surge out of his body and encircle him. In just a moment, Wang Feng's body was surrounded by a golden and silver ocean. Countless faith power turned into starlight and covered Wang Feng's primordial wheel soul. Immediately after, The golden-silver sea of faith around Wang Feng extended a beam of light and directly hit Yan Mengyao at the side. "It's so hot!" Yan Mengyao cried out in surprise, then let out a cry of pain. This was faith power, not other energy. It was not something that other life forms could bear. But after this beam of light washed over Yan Mengyao, it directly fell into the ground and sky of the ancestral realm. It seemed to have merged with it. In an instant, a golden light curtain, with Wang Feng as the center, rippled in all directions. In the next moment, the ancestral realm, which originally had no aura of life, seemed to light up at this moment. It seemed to have changed from a black and white picture to a colorful picture. The spirit energy between heaven and earth was rapidly changing. Somewhere, a faint light seemed to be responding to this beam of light, emitting a faint light. That was the aura of life. Wang Fengxin was slightly moved. It was the snow epiphyllum that he and the Qian Renxue created together. It should still be growing now. But now it had intelligence. I didn't expect that the faith power I condensed and connected to the ancestral realm could bring about such an obvious change, Wang Feng breathed softly. In terms of the normal growth rate, although the snow epiphyllum was a connate life form, it would take at least tens of thousands of years for it to develop intelligence. Because the snow epiphyllum was not given any life form by Wang Feng in the 9 paths of reincarnation. It was a special connate life form that was created alone. Its growth was extremely slow. After the faith body is formed, it will be connected to the ancestral realm. A strand of faith power can bring about such an obvious change. The ancestral realm will definitely develop very quickly in the future. Pure faith power could not be used in the ancestral realm. It needed Wang Feng's faith body to slightly change the faith power before it could be injected into the ancestral realm. It was equivalent to Wang Feng's faith body being a transfer station. It would process the faith power obtained and then supply it to the ancestral realm. The gods in the divine system universe used the faith body as the divine body to guard the divine realm. Not only could they use the faith power to change their divine realm, but they could also use the faith body to absorb the power of the divine realm. At the same time, they also had many effects. However, what surprised Wang Feng was that most of the faith power just now was used to build this faith body. Only a strand was left, passing through his faith body and falling into the ancestral realm. But it could make the snow epiphyllum give birth to intelligence. Logically speaking, such a strand of faith power was not enough to make the snow epiphyllum give birth to intelligence. It was even much worse. Tens of thousands of years was not something that could be changed by a strand of faith power. Wait, could it be? Wang Feng seemed to have thought of something. He slightly condensed his palm, and a green lotus quietly bloomed. Could it be the effect of the chaos green lotus? Wang Fengxin had another guess. That strand of faith power had obviously been specially strengthened. Otherwise, it would not have such a powerful effect. Wang Feng could not strengthen it himself. Then, only the chaos green lotus true soul in his body or the Pangu axe could have such an effect. Wang Feng guessed that the chaos green lotus should have this ability. Pangu axe and the chaos green lotus, these two true souls are the will treasures left behind by the great desolate world. The Pangu axe true soul contains the will to open the sky. The chaos green lotus true soul must also have a powerful ability. I have never used the faith power to experiment before. Unfortunately, all the faith power I used just now was used to condense the faith body. Wang Feng thought to himself, there is no more faith power for the time being. According to the Angel Nebula, the faith power was produced from time to time, but there was also a cycle of production. Wang Feng had just returned from the Angel Nebula. Although the faith power there was still condensing, it was condensing into a strand. It might take a few days. Wait a moment. There should be a result from the chat group soon, Wang Feng thought. End of chapter. Chapter 1772. In the Great Qin Realm. The cold wind rustled the tent outside the palace. There were 2 rows of people standing outside the tent. One row was made up of officials wearing linen clothes and white headscarf. The other row was made up of generals. They wore cold armor and did not wear helmet. They only had white headscarves tied around their heads. Their gazes were all focused on the man who was currently lying on the dragon throne within the tent. The man's face was pale and his eyes were lifeless. He looked sickly, as if he would die at any moment. However, at this moment, his body still exuded a majestic aura. It was this remnant aura that made the officials and generals outside the tent keep quiet out of fear. "After I die, all of you should know what you have to do, right?" The man said indifferently. "Demons are not a match for humans, but the bloodline of our race cannot be broken. It's only hateful." Cough, cough. At this point, the man suddenly coughed a few times. He sighed softly. No one knew what he was saying. He looked into the distance outside the palace. It was a demonic red cloud. "Your Majesty, I'm willing to lead the last soldiers of Great Qin to defend the last pass of the Great Wall." A general stood up. His eyes were red as he said in a deep voice, "We will never retreat. To think that only you, Wang Jian, can still say this. Ha ha ha." The man laughed out loud. His laughter was very weak. He waved his hand. It seemed like he agreed, but also rejected. "Can you defend it?" the man asked indifferently. The general did not say anything. "You can't." Yingzheng shook his head. "No one in the world can defend it. Wang Jian, the bloodline of Great Qin cannot be broken." "Your Majesty," Yingzheng waved his hand and interrupted the general. He closed his eyes and said in a low voice, "If the heavens give me a little more time, give me 10,000 years. There is still hope. Is it possible?" A smile appeared on Yingzheng's face, as if he was mocking himself for having such an absurd thought. Suddenly, Yingzheng seemed to have thought of something. In his mind, he, who was still a little confused, thought of something. "Forget it. I'm already a dying man. Why should I care about that? Even the other people in that group are acting strangely. That ancestor god." Thinking of this, Yingzheng held his breath. In his mind, he called out the great Tao God summoning chapter that the ancestral god had uploaded in the chat group. He downloaded it from the chat group, and it was the only one who downloaded it. He didn't have much hope. It was purely out of curiosity. The great Tao God summoning chapter. This seems to be a strange scripture. In his mind, he used his consciousness to flip through the scripture. Countless symbols rushed into his mind in an instant. Yingzheng could not understand any of those symbols. But what surprised Yingzheng was that, at the moment when these scriptures fused into his mind, he was able to understand their meaning. How magical! It seems that as long as I recite this scripture, the ancestor god will be able to sense it? Moreover, he must be sincere. Yingzheng remained silent for a moment. If it were any other time, Yingzheng would not even take a look at asking an emperor to recite a scripture with sincerity. But now, forget it. I'll give it a try. Yingzheng closed his eyes and murmured under his breath. His voice was weak, but his face was full of devotion. That kind of piety was the piety of grasping at the last straw. It was a kind of piety of hope. At this moment, the civil officials and military generals outside the tent were silent. Suddenly, an imperial physician who served Yingzheng in the tent had his face changed dramatically and said, "What? His Majesty has passed away." In an instant, the faces of the people outside changed greatly. Their faces were ashen. Yingzheng's aura seemed to have disappeared. There was no longer any breath. At this moment, he was reciting the scripture with sincerity. At the same time, ancestral realm. A strand of golden faith power slowly flowed out from Wang Feng's body of faith. This strand of faith power was very small, but it contained a strong emperor's aura. The golden faith power represented that this was the Son of Heaven. However, there was a bit of gray in it, which meant that the owner of this strand of faith power was about to die so fast? Wang Feng was stunned. He did not expect that someone in the chat group would produce faith power for him so quickly. He seems to be about to die. With such a strong emperor's aura, the owner of this faith power is also an emperor. Wang Feng thought for a moment. Not an ordinary emperor. Could it be that borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years, who has been silent in the group? Interesting. Wang Feng stared at this strand of faith power. It was very small, but the quality was very high. The faith power produced by the Son of Heaven was naturally extraordinary, not to mention that this Son of Heaven was an emperor. A great emperor. This strand of faith power was very strong. Let's try injecting it into the chaotic green lotus first. Wang Feng took a deep breath. He vaguely felt that the complete chaotic green lotus true soul seemed to have a stronger effect. Wang Fengxian infused this fine but incomparably special strand of faith power into the chaos green lotus. In an instant, the chaotic green lotus slightly emitted a burst of intense light. Then, this strand of faith power quickly began to strengthen, from a strand of hair to the size of a thumb in an instant. F***CK. Wang Feng was dumbfounded. The chaotic green lotus can strengthen the faith power? No, this is not strengthening, this is a direct increase? This is a big loss. Wang Feng was stunned for a long time. A strand of hair directly became the size of a pinky finger. This degree of increase was not small. If he had known, he would have directly used the chaotic green lotus to increase the faith power collected from the angel nebula. Wouldn't that be a big gain? Not to mention one body of faith, 10 bodies of faith could be condensed. Even if Wang Feng only needed one, the rest of the faith power could be used for the development of the ancestral realm. The corner of Wang Feng's mouth twitched. No wonder just now I was wondering how a little bit of faith power could make the snow oxypetalum gain intelligence and even affect the surrounding energy concentration. Even Yen Mengyao was affected, the chaotic green lotus. Although he felt that he had suffered a loss, it was not too late to find out now. With the chaotic green lotus, it means that even the smallest world's faith power will be increased many times in my place. The speed of development of the ancestral realm will be very terrifying. A smile appeared on Wang Feng's face. In the original plan, in 100 days, he could develop the ancestral realm to a certain extent, even if it was against the divine realm of the fake god of the Donghuang divine system. The difference would not be too big. Now that he found that the chaotic green lotus true soul had this ability, by then it would be a problem of too big a difference. It would be a problem of directly crushing. Now, let's see what this emperor's situation is. The moment when Ing Zheng devoutly finished reciting the scripture word by word. In an instant, the whole palace suddenly burst out a light shadow like the sun. It rushed out of the palace from Ing Zheng's body and rose to the entire sky and the entire Xianyang city. It was originally the scene of the night, but at this moment it was even more dazzling than the day. Even the blood light in the distance was enveloped by this intense light. For a moment, countless pairs of eyes were dull. All the civil officials and generals in the palace were also stunned. What was going on? It was at this moment that a majestic voice came from the light shadow in the sky. I have felt your piety. The voice was as majestic as the sound of heaven, as if it spread throughout the whole world. It was deafening. Chapter 1773. The light figure was shining like the sun, exuding a majestic and eternal aura. It also exuded a majestic aura that transcended life itself. At this moment, no matter if it was in the palace or outside Xianyang city, only Ing Zheng, who was lying on the bed, stared at the light figure with his pupils constricted violently. This was because he was the only one who knew what was going on. What is that? What a terrifying aura! I feel like I'm going to die at any moment, Even the demons outside the Great Wall don't have such a terrifying aura. It's even hotter than the sun in the sky. It's shining so brightly. Is this a god? The officials' eyes were filled with horror, or even shock. They couldn't stop trembling. It's obviously such a terrifying aura. But I don't feel any killing intent. Wang Jian covered his eyes with his hands. Through the gaps between his fingers, he barely dared to raise his head and look at the huge light figure in the sky. How did it come about? At this moment, the light figure, which was as large as the sun, uttered a divine language that sounded like a primordial chant. In the next moment, a divine light descended from the sky and landed on Yingzheng, who was lying on the bed. Yingzheng's eyes flickered slightly. A majestic life force began to burst out from his body. He knew that the ancestor god had sensed his chanting. When the divine light landed, Yingzheng felt his body brimming with energy. It was as if he had returned to his younger days. His body, which had been severely injured by the demons, had recovered from the demonic arts he had cast. In the blink of an eye, his body was filled with energy. His face had returned to his younger days, and his body was brimming with energy. He was even confident that he could defeat the strongest warrior of the great Qin Empire. Yingzheng looked at the light figure with excitement in his eyes. He didn't expect the ancestor god to be so powerful. Yingzheng patted the bed lightly with both hands. Then, he stood up like a roly-poly toy. This scene stunned many of the officials who were already shocked. Didn't His Majesty pass away? How did he come back to life? Your Majesty! You! The imperial physician immediately turned around and looked at Yingzheng with a blank face. There's no need to be surprised. Yingzheng waved his hand. I'm not dead. Hearing that, Wang Jian immediately walked up and looked at His Majesty. As a general of the empire, he could tell with a single glance that not only was His Majesty still alive, but he was brimming with vitality. His limbs radiated with great power as he moved. Not to mention a dying man. Even the elite soldiers of the empire could not compare to His Majesty at this time. But just now, we know that you are confused. Yingzheng's face shone with a faint divine light. He looked up at the palace, at the huge shadow in the clouds, and said faintly, I'll explain it to you later. After he finished speaking, he closed his eyes and sensed the imposing figure of light. It seemed to want to communicate with the ancestor god. I already know the world you are in, so there is no need to explain. I already know what you need. It was at this moment that the light figure emitted a mysterious ancient sound. Yingzheng was slightly taken aback. I haven't even said anything yet. The ancestor god knew? Yingzheng was puzzled. The huge figure of light moved. With this move, it was as if heaven and earth were hanging upside down, and the whole world seemed to be shaking. Many civil officials and generals began to panic. Don't panic, all of you kneel. Yingzheng let out a loud cry. His sonorous voice and the majesty of an emperor immediately made all the officials quiet down. Then, they all kneeled down silently. Your Majesty, what is this? Wang Jian did not kneel down, but walked to Yingzheng's side and asked in a low voice. Yingzheng did not speak, but also half knelt down. There was a burning passion in his eyes that Wang Jian had never seen before. Wang Jian's heart shook, and he immediately knelt down, no longer suspicious. It was at this moment. The light figure stretched out a huge palm, as if it was reaching out from the starry sky, as if it had caught something. Then, the hand swung. A source of light, not dazzling, but emitting a faint silver light, appeared in the sky. It was like the moon at night, but bigger than the moon, and not inferior to the sun. It was even bigger. In the eyes of Yingzheng and the others, they could only see the silver light, which was very similar to the sun in the sky. They did not know what it was. But in the next moment, the huge palm grabbed the light that was bigger than the sun, and seemed to be squeezing it. In an instant, the whole sky seemed to be shaking. It let out an ancient muffled sound, which was endless. It was like the call of the ancient times, low and majestic. The star that was bigger than the sun immediately exploded. It turned into countless light spots, hanging above the sky, forming a long silver river. Countless fragments were like stars, wandering in it, decorating the starry sky at this time, and dispelling the blood light in the distance. Waves of mysterious energy fell from the long silver river. It sprinkled over the whole city, and fell on countless humans. This is the power of the stars. I hope you can use this power to strengthen yourselves. The mysterious ancient voice, at this moment, appeared in the ears of all humans. It was hazy like an ancient call. Everyone's spirits were lifted. In the next moment, the light figure gradually disappeared, and between heaven and earth, there was only a dazzling long silver river in the sky, flickering, symbolizing the mythical scene that had once happened. The power of the stars, Yingzheng murmured. Before he could sense it, Yingzheng suddenly heard Wang Jian, who was beside him, roaring. He subconsciously looked over and saw the light spots falling from the long silver river, covering Wang Jian's body. Waves of powerful aura rose from the old general, who had fought for the empire for decades. His whole body seemed to be reborn, shedding skin, and every muscle seemed to be reorganizing, or it was changing because of the new power. Almost in the blink of an eye, Yingzheng could feel that this loyal old general had broken through the original shackles. He had broken through the shackles of man and become a Xiantian expert of this world. His aura was even getting stronger. Yingzheng took a deep breath and looked at the silver river. The shock in his eyes turned into fanaticism. He looked at the other officials and generals, then walked out of the palace, and with a few light steps, he jumped onto the city wall. He saw countless warriors, who were bathing in the energy that fell from the long silver river, and their aura was getting stronger. In fact, they were not much weaker than the invincible demons outside the Great Wall. They have all broken through the original realm, and walked on a brand new path, a path that I have never seen before. Yingzheng looked at the long silver river in the sky. Ancestor God, a few days later. Ancestor God, you have not only revived me, but also bestowed me with the long silver river in the sky. That is the power of the stars. I believe all of you have felt it. Yingzheng, who was wearing a dragon robe, looked down at the hundreds of officials and generals below him. Unlike before, when the Great Wall had been breached, the north had been invaded by the demons, and the invincible soldiers of the great Qin Empire had been utterly defeated. His face was pale, his eyes were lifeless, and his face was as pale as ash. Now, all of them were in high spirits, and their eyes were glowing. End of chapter. Chapter 1774. This was especially true for the generals. Each of them exuded a powerful aura, and their bodies were faintly shrouded in stellar energy. Yingzheng knew that they had been making breakthroughs in the past few days. They were advancing toward an unknown realm of cultivation that no human had ever stepped into before. It was not just humans who had changed in the past few days. Under the power of the silver river in the sky, many plants, flowers, and even livestock had undergone great changes. However, as humans, they had undergone the greatest changes. Hearing Yingzheng's words, the civil and military officials did not have any doubt, because what they saw that day was too shocking. That miracle and the divine voice in everyone's ears were definitely not illusions. From now on, I will pass down the great Tao God summoning chapter, establish a state religion, and worship the ancestor god. This matter must be spread to all the people in the country immediately. Yingzheng waved his hand. The ancestor god had bestowed such a great favor. Yingzheng felt that his actions were not enough to repay the ancestor god. But on second thought, with the ancestor god's greatness, the ancestor god would not be interested in anything that a weak existence like him could repay. As long as he piously worshipped the ancestor god, that would be the greatest repayment. Also, we now have the power to fight against the demons. You all should start researching this power immediately. Create a new cultivation method. Ingzheng continued. Your Majesty, the power bestowed by the ancestor god is too magical. I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to study it thoroughly in a short period of time. Wang Jian stood out and said, however, it should not be a problem for us to fight against the demons now. Ingzheng thought about it. That was indeed the case. After all, it was a power bestowed by the ancestor god. How could it be so easy to study it? If he were to ask the ancestor god himself, he would be too stupid. The ancestor god had already bestowed the power. If he still wanted the ancestor god to tell him what to do, Ingzheng felt that as the emperor, he would not be so stupid as to ask others to cook for him. Oh right, that chat group. Ingzheng's heart skipped a beat. After discussing with the civil and military officials for a while, he immediately returned to his palace and entered the chat group. Borrow another 10,000 years from the heavens. Everyone, I have a question here. Can you help me think about it? Fan Yi, 10,000 years. You've been lurking for so long. You finally came out. I still don't know who you are. Question mark. JPG, borrow another 10,000 years from the heavens. Who I am is not important. Yangon as a waiter. What is the question? Let's hear it. Does it have anything to do with money? No one under the heavens can't betray me. About what? To she ancient emperor's jade. If I can help, I will definitely try my best. After all, we are in the same group. They were all friends. Ingzheng pondered for a brief moment, then another thought struck his mind. The chat group had a variety of functions, and it even had a recording function. Memory records could record everything that happened in the world he was in. Ingzheng recorded everything that happened that day from his own point of view, and then sent it to the group as a video. Fan Yi, video? My goodness, 10,000 years, don't you dare publicly post some vulgar videos in our group. This is immoral. Ahem, you can send it to me privately. At this moment, Yi Fan, who was on Earth in a parallel universe, opened the video recorded from Ingzheng's perspective with a smile on his face. Borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years. This guy is most likely some emperor. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such a name. It's obvious that he hasn't lived before. I wonder what this video is about. Yi Fan mumbled as he focused on the video that had just started playing. Then he was stunned. His pupils constricted, his mouth opened wide, and his breathing quickened. Dochi continent. At the back mountain of a certain clan, a young girl blinked her eyes and opened the video that she extracted from her mind. A group member sent a video right away. This video is really strange, it's like a memory pearl. Let me see what's the content. The young girl blinked her eyes, there was only curiosity in her eyes. However, when she took a look at the video, the young girl was stunned. Not long after, she was stupefied. She was stunned on the spot as if she had been petrified. It was as if she had seen something inconceivable. Three Kingdoms world. Xuchang, Chao residence. Cao Cao punched the rock in front of him into two. The explosive airflow was like a hurricane that blew across the courtyard. Cao Cao remained unmoved. My lord's strength has improved again. Standing at the side, a tall and sturdy man with a face full of stubble clapped his hands and sighed. Scram! Cao Cao put on the clothes that the maid beside him brought over and cast a sidelong glance at the huge man. You think I don't know? You, Su Chu, are probably thinking that with my strength, I wouldn't even be a match for a centurion on the battlefield. What's there to train? I don't dare, I don't dare. The huge man hurriedly waved his hand. All right, you can leave. I still have something to do. Cao Cao waved his hand. He knew that with his strength, he was as weak as a grass beside a huge tree in front of his subordinate. He wasn't worth mentioning at all. The huge man leaped lightly and disappeared from the courtyard like an arrow leaving the bow. Let me see what's wrong with this video that was sent by 10,000 years. Cao Cao summoned the chat group in his mind. After pondering for a moment, he retrieved the video and opened it. After watching for a few seconds, he took a deep breath. In the chat group. Silence. Silence. It was still silence. Ingzheng waited patiently. After a long time, finally there was a notification sound. Fan Yi, F***CK. Yangon Pawn, F***CK +1, 2 She Ancient Emperor's Jade, F***CK, F***CK, F***CK +1, Can't Betray Me, F***CK +1 Ingzheng. Borrow 10,000 years from the heavens. That, have you guys finished watching it? Fan Yi, I've finished watching it. Let me take a break first. It's too scary, Yangon Pawn. Oh my god, what the hell is that thing? Although I don't know what that light figure did, it felt so scary. 2 She Ancient Emperor's Jade. That light figure must be a peerless expert. He used his hand to grab that silver light source. It's too scary. Even through the screen, I could feel the terrifying power of that light source. He actually destroyed it directly and it didn't affect your world. I don't know how he did it, but he actually changed the light source into that silver river and placed it in your world. This is simply unimaginable. Can't betray me, that's right. The light source that the light figure grabbed is extremely terrifying. It's definitely a power that can destroy a world. I feel that even our world wouldn't be able to withstand the impact of that explosion. In our world, even the previous First Saint General, Lu Bu, wouldn't be able to survive the explosion. I didn't expect that light figure to destroy the light source without affecting your world. This is truly unbelievable. Fan Yi, you guys are so uncultured. Judging from the light source and its distance and size, that thing was at least a star. A light figure can destroy a star. This is too exaggerated. It's like a legend. Yangon Pawn, brother Fan, what is a star? Fan Yi, a star is the sun in your memory, Yangon Pawn. 2 She Ancient Emperor's Jade asked, oh right, 10,000 years, what is that light figure? Curious. JPG. Ingzheng thought for a moment and still answered. It's the ancestor god. Chapter 1775. Ancestral Realm. What a fruitful harvest! Wang Feng exclaimed as he felt the endless power of faith. Among all the power of faith, the power of faith produced by Ingzheng was the strongest. After all, he was the one who could feel the power of the ancestral god most directly. Although this power of faith is far from comparable to the power produced by the Angel Nebula, I have the Chaotic Green Lotus special enhancement ability. Now Wang Feng infused the power of faith he obtained into the Chaotic Green Lotus. The power of faith produced by Ingzheng was the most special. He was the emperor who carried the world's will in the destiny of that world, the emperor who unified the 9 prefectures. The power of faith he produced was not only powerful but also very special. However, I did not directly bestow divine power. These believers do not have divine power imprints on them, Wang Feng muttered. I did not directly bestow divine power even to Ingzheng. The power of faith is not pure enough, but with the enhancement of the Chaotic Green Lotus, the effect is not bad. Moreover, the power of faith was increasing continuously, which meant that Ingzheng had already passed the scripture of the Great Tao summoning scripture to others. With this power of faith, I can slowly build the ancestral realm's 9 paths of reincarnation. The Chaotic Green Lotus in Wang Feng's palm was nurturing a layer of faint green light like a thin mist. Therefore, the power of faith that entered the Chaos Green Lotus first rolled around the lotus platform, and then rapidly increased in the process. Then, it floated out and entered Wang Feng's body. The special power of faith of Qin Shi Huang was golden in color, bright and clear, and looked extremely dazzling. After the enhancement, this power of faith can not only replenish divine power, but also cultivate the universe's will and expand the ancestral realm's boundary. It's very useful. Wang Feng's body of faith was connected to the ancestral realm, so he could use the power of faith to cultivate. This body of faith was very useful. Otherwise, Wang Feng would not have spent so much power of faith to condense it. Let's go to the underworld that I created earlier. Wang Feng's figure flashed, and he came to a slightly gloomy realm. This was a special little realm that Wang Feng had created in the ancestral realm with the Penguak. He also placed all the void beings in the black tide that he had absorbed in the dark demon realm here, waiting for reincarnation. However, Wang Feng was not strong enough at that time, so he could not deal with them and complete the 9 paths of reincarnation. In this gloomy world, even the sky was gray. The ground was grayish-black, and there were jagged rocks everywhere. It was pitch black. There was only an endless ocean in the distance. That was the Sea of Bitterness. It was one of the reincarnation systems of the ancestral realm. On the other side of the Sea of Bitterness, there was a purplish-black thundercloud. Countless bolts of lightning struck down. Reincarnation Thunder Tribulation. It was also one of the reincarnation systems in the ancestral realm. After these 2 systems came the core order of the 9 paths of reincarnation. However, there was none at the moment. I originally planned to use the void origin to purify those void life forms into pure energy and enter the ancestral realm's reincarnation system to become the ancestral realm's first batch of life forms. Wang Feng gently waved his hand and boundless power of faith turned into a river, gathering behind the Sea of Bitterness. Now, with the power of faith, everything in the ancestral realm can be connected to this body of faith. That way, even the godly system universe won't be able to see any problems. The God realm was very special. It was not a casual world. Universal-level life forms stood at the top of the unit universe. Not to mention ruling a large world, even a large world like the Dark Demon Realm was very easy. The God realm in the godly system universe was more powerful than any large world. The gods in the godly system universe could open their own God realm when they were young. As long as the God realm was not destroyed, the gods would be very difficult to kill. Moreover, the location of the God realm was very special. Usually, as long as they did not give out the coordinates, even the stronger gods would not be able to sense it. At the same time, the God realm could provide powerful backup support for the gods. The gods could dominate everything in the God realm, use the power of faith to create all kinds of life forms, and even directly evolve the universe. As the God realm that lived with the gods for half of their lives, its position was very special and important. The gods in the non-godly system universe were the native gods. It was very difficult for them to have a God realm. This was because the native gods were different universe-level life forms. Their cultivation method was different from the godly system universe. For example, the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor did not have her own God realm. However, she was still very powerful. She also opened up her own world for the Crimson Divine Fox clan to live in. However, the world she opened up was not a God realm. However, she could not use the power of faith to cultivate her own world. Even if the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor could collect the power of faith from other worlds, she could not use it on her own world. This was because the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor's true body did not have the ability to use the power of faith to transform. This was the special part of the godly system universe, and Wang Feng's body of faith had this ability. This clone of his was equivalent to being integrated into the godly system universe, but it was also independent. It was very special. Therefore, he could now use the power of faith to cultivate the ancestor realm. God realm, ghost realm, monster realm, Azura realm, human realm, spirit realm, yin-yang realm, heavenly realm. 9 paths of reincarnation. Which path should I open up first? Wang Feng pondered for a moment. He looked at the special power of faith of Ying. This strand represented the power of faith of the Emperor. It contained powerful energy and will. Human realm. The 9 paths were the 9 races. It was also the classification of life forms in the ancestor realm. Rise! Wang Feng waved his hand, and countless power of faith gathered behind the sea of bitterness to form a huge golden door. Mysterious and profound patterns of law and lines of order crawled all over the huge door. Ancient and mysterious symbols were engraved on the huge door. Human realm reincarnation. The power of faith in Wang Feng's body was rapidly decreasing, and it was constantly flowing into the huge door. On the other side of the sea of bitterness, the floating life forms began to become restless. It was as if something was attracting them, forcing them to enter the huge door. They began to rush toward the huge door. But the sea of bitterness and the reincarnation lightning tribulation blocked their path. Although you are all void forms, it is not easy to survive the sea of bitterness and the reincarnation lightning tribulation, Wang Feng thought. The sea of bitterness contained the reincarnation chi, which was the energy from the black tide. There was also the origin tribulation deity king's devouring origin energy. These void forms had been purified by the origin of nothingness, and now they had become pure and unconscious soul energy bodies. But they also had a certain void attribute. They were immune to most special damage. The reincarnation lightning tribulation was useless against them. But the sea of bitterness was very heavy, and it was easy for these soul energy bodies to sink into it. Chapter 1776. Ancestral Realm. What a fruitful harvest! Wang Feng exclaimed as he felt the endless power of faith. Among all the power of faith, the power of faith produced by Ying Zheng was the strongest. After all, he was the one who could feel the power of the ancestral god most directly. Although this power of faith is far from comparable to the power produced by the Angel Nebula, I have the chaotic green lotus special enhancement ability. Now Wang Feng infused the power of faith he obtained into the chaotic green lotus. The power of faith produced by Ying Zheng was the most special. He was the emperor who carried the world's will in the destiny of that world, the emperor who unified the 9 prefectures. The power of faith he produced was not only powerful but also very special. However, I did not directly bestow divine power. These believers do not have divine power imprints on them, Wang Feng muttered. I did not directly bestow divine power even to Ying Zheng. The power of faith is not pure enough, but with the enhancement of the chaotic green lotus, the effect is not bad. Moreover, the power of faith was increasing continuously, which meant that Ying Zheng had already passed the scripture of the great Tao summoning scripture to others. With this power of faith, I can slowly build the ancestral realm's 9 paths of reincarnation. The chaotic green lotus in Wang Feng's palm was nurturing a layer of faint green light like a thin mist. Therefore, the power of faith that entered the chaos green lotus first rolled around the lotus platform, and then rapidly increased in the process. Then, it floated out and entered Wang Feng's body. The special power of faith of Qin Shi Huang was golden in color, bright and clear, and looked extremely dazzling. After the enhancement, this power of faith can not only replenish divine power, but also cultivate the universe's will and expand the ancestral realm's boundary. It's very useful. Wang Feng's body of faith was connected to the ancestral realm, so he could use the power of faith to cultivate. This body of faith was very useful. Otherwise, Wang Feng would not have spent so much power of faith to condense it. Let's go to the underworld that I created earlier. Wang Feng's figure flashed, and he came to a slightly gloomy realm. This was a special little realm that Wang Feng had created in the ancestral realm with the Penguac. He also placed all the void beings in the black tide that he had absorbed in the dark demon realm here, waiting for reincarnation. However, Wang Feng was not strong enough at that time, so he could not deal with them and complete the 9 paths of reincarnation. In this gloomy world, even the sky was gray. The ground was grayish-black, and there were jagged rocks everywhere. It was pitch black. There was only an endless ocean in the distance. That was the Sea of Bitterness. It was one of the reincarnation systems of the ancestral realm. On the other side of the sea of bitterness, there was a purplish-black thundercloud. Countless bolts of lightning struck down. Reincarnation thunder tribulation. It was also one of the reincarnation systems in the ancestral realm. After these two systems was the core order of the 9 paths of reincarnation. However, there was none at the moment. I originally planned to use the void origin to purify those void life forms into pure energy and enter the ancestral realm's reincarnation system to become the ancestral realm's first batch of life forms. Wang Feng gently waved his hand and boundless power of faith turned into a river, gathering behind the sea of bitterness. Now, with the power of faith, everything in the ancestral realm can be connected to this body of faith. That way, even the godly system universe won't be able to see any problems. The God realm was very special. It was not a casual world. Universal-level life forms stood at the top of the unit universe. Not to mention ruling a large world, even a large world like the Dark Demon realm was very easy. The God realm in the godly system universe was more powerful than any large world. The gods in the godly system universe could open their own God realm when they were young. As long as the God realm was not destroyed, the gods would be very difficult to kill. Moreover, the location of the God realm was very special. Usually, as long as they did not give out the coordinates, even the stronger gods would not be able to sense it. At the same time, the God realm could provide powerful backup support for the gods. The gods could dominate everything in the God realm, use the power of faith to create all kinds of life forms, and even directly evolve the universe. As the God realm that lived with the gods for half of their lives, its position was very special and important. The gods in the non-godly system universe were the native gods. It was very difficult for them to have a God realm. This was because the native gods were different universe-level life forms. Their cultivation method was different from the godly system universe. For example, the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor did not have her own God realm. However, she was still very strong. She also opened up her own world for the Crimson Divine Fox clan to live in. However, the world she opened up was not a God realm. However, she could not use the power of faith to cultivate her own world. Even if the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor could collect the power of faith from other worlds, she could not use it on her own world. This was because the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor's true body did not have the ability to use the power of faith to transform. This was the special part of the godly system universe, and Wang Feng's body of faith had this ability. This clone of his was equivalent to being integrated into the godly system universe, but it was also independent. It was very special. Therefore, he could now use the power of faith to cultivate the ancestor realm. God realm, ghost realm, monster realm, Asura realm, human realm, spirit realm, yin-yang realm, heaven realm. 9 paths of reincarnation. Which path should I open up first? Wang Feng pondered for a moment. He looked at the special power of faith of Ying. This strand represented the power of faith of the Emperor. It contained powerful energy and will. Human realm. The 9 paths were the 9 races. It was also the classification of life forms in the ancestor realm. Rise. Wang Feng waved his hand, and countless power of faith gathered behind the sea of bitterness to form a huge golden door. Mysterious and profound patterns of law and lines of order crawled all over the huge door. Ancient and mysterious symbols were engraved on the huge door. Human realm reincarnation. The power of faith in Wang Feng's body was rapidly decreasing, and it was constantly flowing into the huge door. On the other side of the sea of bitterness, the floating life forms began to become restless. It was as if something was attracting them, forcing them to enter the huge door. They began to rush toward the huge door. But the sea of bitterness and the reincarnation lightning tribulation blocked their path. Although you are all void forms, it is not easy to survive the sea of bitterness and the reincarnation lightning tribulation, Wang Feng thought. The The Sea of Bitterness had the reincarnation chi, which was the energy from the black tide. There was also the origin tribulation deity king's devouring origin energy. These void forms had been purified by the origin of nothingness, and now they had become pure and unconscious soul energy bodies. But they also had a certain void attribute. They were immune to most special damage. The reincarnation lightning tribulation was useless against them. But the Sea of Bitterness was very heavy, and it was easy for these soul energy bodies to sink into it. The power of faith in Wang Feng's body was rapidly decreasing, and it was constantly flowing into the huge door. On the other side of the Sea of Bitterness, the floating life forms began to become restless. It was as if something was attracting them, forcing them to enter the huge door. They began to rush toward the huge door. But the Sea of Bitterness and the reincarnation lightning tribulation blocked their path. Chapter 1777. Ingzheng looked at the people in the chat group and pondered for a moment before speaking. Well, the reason why I posted the video is because I have a question I want to ask everyone here. The ancestor god's methods were unfathomable. But the power he bestowed was too powerful and terrifying. He had to study it for a while. The reason why Ingzheng wanted to brainstorm and post the video was because he wanted to get some inspiration from these group members. Can't betray me. I know what you want to ask. 10,000 years. You want to ask how you should use that power, right? I've seen the world you're from. The people in your world, even the generals around you, are just martial artists with some shallow martial arts. But the power of that silver river the ancestor god bestowed is completely incomprehensible to you. At this moment, Yi Fan interjected, "You're like a child who picked up a gun. You have so much power, but you don't know how to use it. So, brother, you want to ask us what we should do?" "Yes, that's right." Ingzheng nodded. These group members were quite smart. "Fan Yi, you've asked the right person. In our world, your situation is called the spiritual qi revival. Cough cough. I can only say that the ancestor god is too powerful. He directly crushed a star as a source of energy and poured this energy into your world. Another 10,000 years from heaven, spiritual qi revival." Ingzheng was stunned. "Fan Yi, that's right. It's the mutation of the world. Look, after the civil officials and generals around you absorbed that energy, didn't they undergo a huge change? They became stronger, broke through, and even gained new abilities. Not only you, but also the mountains and rivers, flowers and trees. Animals and livestock have all undergone changes? Another 10,000 years from heaven, that's indeed the case. Fan Yi, that's why the spiritual qi revival will break the current structure of your world. I heard you mention in the video that there are some demons in your world. It's something you can't resist. Those demons have power that surpasses you humans. Now that the spiritual qi revival in your world and the world is changing, you have the power to fight against them. You will have the capital to fight against the demons. The ancestor god must have given you this power so that you can continue to improve yourselves, regroup, and defeat those demons. I believe that with the ancestor god's means, if he were to take action, your entire world would be easily reduced to ashes, much less fiendish demons. However, the ancestor god did not do so. He only gave you the means to resist the fiendish demons. I'm afraid this is also a test for you. Ingzheng kept nodding his head. The last sentence especially stunned Ingzheng. Test? This was something he hadn't expected. Eternal Peace Pawn's waiter. I understand. Big Brother 10,000 years, the ancestor god is so powerful. He wouldn't casually take in underlings. Although the ancestor god sensed your piety, he only gave you a chance. You have to seize this opportunity. No one in the world can turn their back on me. What a big deal, using the entire world as a test. Brother of 10,000 years, you now have the ability to defeat those fiendish demons. This proves that you are too useless, not to mention the ancestor god. If I had such a useless fellow under me, I would have kicked him out long ago. 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. Puzzle. JPG. Why do I feel like you guys are thinking too much? Fanny said. You don't understand, right? Maybe we are thinking too much, but we can't rule out this possibility. Brother 10,000 years, you must be thinking of researching this power, right? In fact, it's very simple. You just need to gather the powerhouses of your country, and then use the power of the heavens as the foundation to establish a powerful cultivation system. Then, guide the warriors and humans of your empire to embark on this cultivation system. Everyone will cultivate. In a short period of time, your country's combat strength will be increased. That's enough. We can talk about the follow-up research later. The most important thing now is to use this power to defeat those fiendish demons and prove to the ancestor god that you and your empire didn't let him down. There was no need for in-depth research. Everyone would cultivate. Ingzheng immediately understood. He was enlightened. No one in the world can turn their back on me. Fan Yi, as expected of someone from the future. Your thoughts are quite clear. I also have the same thoughts. The power of the silver waterfall is very powerful. If we study it in detail, it will definitely be of great use. However, now isn't the time to study it. It's the time to think of how to overcome this crisis. Hurry up and come up with a cultivation plan so that everyone can start cultivating. Ingzheng immediately went offline without any hesitation. Everyone, thank you for your help. I already have an idea. 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. Wait, I want to ask. The ancestor god has helped you guys so much. Are you guys not going to express your gratitude? Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. Awkward. JPG. This. I want to express my gratitude. But how should I express it? The ancestor god doesn't like the things in our world. I have imparted the great Tao God summoning scripture to the people of the empire so that they can worship it devoutly. I have even established a national religion for the ancestor god. I plan to worship the ancestor god. Is this considered a form of expression? 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. I see. I keep feeling that something is missing. Fan Yi. Ancient Emperor Jade, you have reminded me. Logically speaking, if we worship the gods, we would need to offer sacrifices, right? I remember that in our ancient times, similar to your world 10,000 years ago, the emperor had to offer sacrifices to the heavens, praying for a year of bumper harvest and favorable weather. Although our ancient times were all feudal and fake. But it's different in your world. The ancestor god is a true god. I feel that you guys can offer sacrifices to spread the glory of the ancestor god. Even if the things in your world are useless to the ancestor god. But this is a form of sincerity. Ingzheng immediately understood. He patted his head. He still knew about offering sacrifices. It was just that in the past, he didn't really believe in such things. Hence, he didn't even think about it. But the ancestor god was different. Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. I understand now. I will do it immediately. After saying that, he went offline. Fan Yi. Sigh, old brother 10,000 years has gone offline. But the scenes in the video are still replaying in my mind. Yong and Pawn's shop assistant. Brother Fan, don't think about it anymore. Don't forget how we mocked the ancestor god in the past. The ancestor god wouldn't care about us now. Sigh, I still have many wishes that have yet to be fulfilled. Recently, a mysterious fellow said that I will become the savior of this world in the future. I was thinking about it. With my skinny arms and legs, how can I be the savior of this world? Fan Yi. It's fine. I will go back now and memorize the great Tao God summoning scripture and recite it every day. To show my sincerity. End of this chapter. Chapter 1778. To she ancient Emperor Jade. It should be useless. This requires sincerity. If you have other intentions, I'm afraid it won't work. People can't betray me. To she ancient Emperor Jade, have you tried it? To she ancient Emperor Jade. No. It's mainly because I feel embarrassed. After all, we have said that before. Hee, but Fan Yi, I thought of the sacrifice you mentioned earlier. There's nothing good in Brother 10,000 Years world that can catch the ancestor god's eye, but I have it here. So, I intend to use the sacrifice method to see if I can summon the ancestor god. Fan Yi, damn, I forgot. Your world is a fantasy world. I heard your name, To she ancient Emperor Jade. This is probably some kind of treasure, right? To she ancient Emperor Jade. Yes, it's a key. Contains the secret of the strongest person in our world. Fan Yi, that's a pity. Our world is helpless. JPG. I think it might be something like a nuclear bomb. The ancestor god might be interested in it, but I don't have access to it. Yong and pawn shop's worker. Speaking of valuable items, I have a piece of jade too. That mysterious person told me that this piece is the key to saving the world. He said that if two pieces are combined, a huge wish can be fulfilled. This thing should be very valuable, right? I wonder if the ancestor god is interested in it? No one in the world can betray me. Why don't you just try? The ancestor god was able to bestow such a great favor just because of Brother 10,000 Years' sincere prayers. I guess God isn't a petty person. The ancestor god might not take our previous doubts to heart. But we have to show our sincerity. At this moment the ancestor god came online. Fan Yi. Ancestor god, please forgive me for my previous doubts. Knowledge. JPG. Yong and pawn shop's worker. Ancestor god, we were wrong. Please forgive us. I have already memorized every word of the great Tao god summoning chapter. Is it still effective? To she ancient Emperor Jade. Ancestor god, hello. My words were inappropriate just now. I hope you don't blame me. Scared. JPG. People can't betray me. God, what do you like? Boss Chow was the most direct. Wang Feng was slightly stunned. What is this situation? These guys, weren't they? He flipped through the chat group's message records and suddenly laughed. Ing Zheng was really something. He did not expect Ing Zheng to share everything that happened in the chat group. This resulted in the current situation. But the ancestral god. Everyone, if you are sincere, then it will happen. The promises made by the gods will never change and will never be extinguished. After saying this, Wang Feng went offline. As an ancestor god, there was no need for him to say much. All he had to do was maintain a mysterious image. Speaking of which, these guys were really overthinking things. What did he mean when he said that he was going to take the entrance exam for Ing Zheng? I need to be a priest for myself and so on. Wang Feng had never thought about it. Wang Feng thought to himself, the spirit chi revival is right, but not completely right. Indeed, he had crushed a star, and then converted the energy in it to Ing Zheng's world, giving it the power of the galaxy. Moreover, the experience that formed the Milky Way also contained special light particles. Once it was absorbed by the people in Ing Zheng's world, it would trigger a special ability and awaken an even stronger power. Therefore, it was called the power of the stars. However, it was different from the recovery of spiritual power. That power was ineffective against the fiendish demons. It was only targeted at all the life forms in that world. Otherwise, if it was strengthened, those demons would also absorb and strengthen, and Ing Zheng would have no fun. You said it was a test. Wang Feng stroked his chin. Ing Zheng was an emperor for all eternity. Although he might not be the same Ing Zheng from Earth's history and might just be the first emperor of a parallel universe, his aptitude was still there. It's not really a test. However, those demons have a special origin. Wang Feng arrived in Ing Zheng's world and naturally knew everything with a thought. That world had no secrets to him. After all, it was just a low-level life plane. The appearance of those demons might have something to do with the universe hunt of the god system. It was probably a world that was affected. It was just that Ing Zheng's world was too weak and its level was too low. The gods of the god system universe looked down on it at all. The gods and systems of the god system universe only care about immediate benefits. This is understandable. The universe is endless and the world is endless. There is no need to waste time on a low-level world. Wang Feng sighed. But in fact, no matter how low-level a world is, as long as it is given a slight chance, it can soar to the sky. When it evolves and grows, the power of faith they produce will be very stable and considerable. Of course, it would take a certain amount of time. This method of slowly cultivating a world, upgrading it, and then harvesting the power of faith. In fact, it had happened in the history of the God system universe. However, the improvement was too slow and the cost was too high. The cultivation world took too much time and it was slowly eliminated. Because cultivating a world also required the divine power of faith. However, now this Chaos Green Lotus has a powerful effect of amplifying the power of faith. In addition, I don't directly give them the divine power of faith. I also change their world in other ways. The cost for me is almost nothing. Wang Fengxin said. Ing Zheng's side produced a steady stream of power of faith, after being amplified by the Chaos Green Lotus. This power of faith could only allow Wang Feng to establish one of the 9 paths of reincarnation. The 8 paths of reincarnation would also be very fast. Moreover, Ing Zheng, the son of destiny, and the power of faith produced by the ancient emperors, had allowed an extremely special human emperor to be born in the first batch of postnatal human spirits. He had reached the level of a sacred clan in the God system universe. Once he grew up, it was hard to imagine how important a role he would play in the ancestral realm. Now we just need to continue to wait, Wang Fengxin said. At the same time, the great Qin world. Li Si, give the order. In 3 days, immediately hold the national sacrifice. Ing Zheng waved his sleeve and said. At the same time, let them develop a preliminary cultivation plan for the power of stars and promote it on a small scale. Once it's feasible, immediately promote it throughout the country. Take out all the cultivation methods and so on that the 100 schools of philosophers have kept in the past and study them. Li Si was stunned and hurriedly said, Your Majesty, those things of the 100 schools of philosophers, when you established the empire, you said that those things were too dangerous and were all fallacies. You seem to have burned most of them. Only a few are left. I burned them. Ing Zheng was stunned. He turned around a little embarrassedly and said, Didn't you keep some of them? It's okay. The power of stars bestowed by the ancestral god is very special. The cultivation methods of the 100 schools of philosophers might not work. It's better for us to study it ourselves. We're already studying it. As for the priests, Li Si hesitated for a moment. Facing the priests of the ancestral god? What do we need the priests for? End of chapter. Chapter 1779. According to the ancestral system, the offerings should be mainly food. Li Si pondered and said, 3 animals and 6 beasts, supplemented by jade and silk. But these things are too ordinary for a god. Even if it's just to express our sincerity, it's too. Li Si didn't know how to describe it. He really couldn't imagine sacrificing these mortal items to a god. However, since the ancestor god has bestowed us with such kindness, I don't think he'll be interested in our offerings. Li Si shook his head and said, It's enough to express our sincerity. I believe that the ancestor god can sense our sincerity. Ing Zheng didn't say anything. Li Si waited quietly. He knew that this emperor might already have an idea. What do you think if we use humans as offerings? Ing Zheng suddenly asked. Humans? Li Si was stunned. He was shocked but also understood. In the ancestral system, there were such situations and there were quite a few of them. Back then, when the various countries were in chaos, there were many examples of offering humans as offerings to God. There were also virgin boys and girls, etc. However, such practices had been abandoned in the Great Qin Empire. Moreover, human sacrifice was too cruel and went against human ethic. However, the reason why human sacrifice was criticized back then was because there were no real gods. If we use humans as offerings in the name of serving the gods, it's still appropriate. Li Si looked at the silver river hanging in the sky through the window of the palace. The name of the ancestor god had spread throughout the empire. The changes brought about by the mysterious Milky Way were too great and too mysterious. The majestic figure that could be seen by the entire Xianyang city that day was imprinted in everyone's mind. Your Majesty, I think that if we want to offer sacrifices to the ancestor god, why don't we choose blood sacrifice? At this moment, a steady voice sounded. Wang Jian strode over. His steady voice echoed in Yingzheng and Li Si's ears like an ancient bell. Blood sacrifice? Yingzheng's eyes flashed. You mean to sacrifice those demons to the ancestor god? That's right. Wang Jian said slowly. The ancestor god sent down such a great power to give Great Qin a chance of survival. The ancestor god said that he knows the world and knows what's going on in this world. However, the magical beasts are Great Qin's enemies, and we need to personally defeat and kill them. Your Majesty, Meng Tian wants to lead a group of soldiers out of the Great Wall, capture fiendish demons and sacrifice their blood to the ancestor god. Let's show Great Qin's might and not let down the power bestowed by the ancestor god. Yingzheng nodded slightly and said, But it's only been a few days. Can you defeat the demons? Wang Jian laughed. Your Majesty, those demons have invaded the Xiongnu people of the north. Each of them possesses inhuman strength. Our Great Qin soldiers are made of flesh and blood. Naturally, they are no match for them. But now, although we have yet to fully study the power of the stars in the sky, our strength has indeed increased greatly. With the elite warriors of the Great Qin Empire, all of them have already transcended the body of flesh and blood. They are absolutely capable of fighting against those demons. Your Majesty, your strength has improved tremendously. I'm sure you know this better than us. Yingzheng closed his eyes and pondered for a brief moment. Then, he waved his sleeves and said, We'll do as you say. As soon as Yingzheng finished speaking, the soldiers of the Great Qin Empire, who had obtained the power of the stars, were led by the brave and skilled General Meng Tian. Like arrows of hope, they shot out of Xianyang city and rushed to the passes of the Great Wall that were already in ruins. In fact, there were already many scattered demons outside Xianyang city who had broken through the Great Wall's defensive line. These demons were huge in size and different in shape. Their bodies were tainted with wisps of black gas, and their eyes were red. There was no killing intent in their eyes. There was only coldness and silence. They were like machines that carried out their tasks meticulously. They were not something that mortals could compare with. Even though the Great Qin Empire had qi cultivators and martial artists, they were still made of flesh and blood. They were no match for these special demons. Yingzheng stood at a corner of the Great Wall and looked coldly at the endless stream of demons below the Great Wall. The fiendish demons looked like ants. It was a horrifying sight. Most of the passes of the Great Wall had been lost. The pass that Yingzheng was at was the one closest to Xianyang city. If this pass was lost, it meant that the demons could directly invade Xianyang city and take over the entire territory of the Great Qin Empire. There was a strong smell of blood and rotting corpses in the air. Can General Meng Tian and the others defeat these demons? Li Si followed behind Yingzheng. As a civil official, he did not have to come. However, this was the first time that the Great Qin Empire's soldiers fought against the demons after obtaining the power of the stars. The outcome of this battle was very important. The power of the stars from the Milky Way in the sky was indeed powerful. However, Li Si was not sure what kind of combat strength it could bring. After all, those demons were too strong. Ing Zheng's eyes were calm. He did not have Li Si's worries. If we only defeat them, Ing Zheng said calmly, that is not what the ancestor god wants to see. As soon as he finished speaking, several dazzling figures flew out of the Great Wall. The figures were like unparalleled gods of war. They rode on blood-red war horses in the sky. It was as if they could cross the entire Great Wall with a light leap. They glided down from a height of dozens of meters. The leader was a burly man with big arms and thick shoulders. He held a long spear in his hand and exuded a powerful aura. Even the long spear was surrounded by a several-meter-long energy. With a light leap, he could reach a height of more than 100 meters. The long spear swept across, and the energy was like a sharp knife, cutting the demons with steel-like bodies into two. Li Si, who was on the Great Wall, gasped when he saw this. So strong. Li Si was stunned. The power of the stars has the most obvious effect on Meng Tian and the other generals. Ing Zheng's eyes shone brightly. You are a civil official. Perhaps the changes are not obvious to you. However, Li Si, your current strength is even greater than Wang Jian's. I haven't tested it yet. Li Si's mouth twitched. With the recovery of spiritual energy, the strong will naturally break through the upper limit and reach a higher level. In fact, that's not all. The power of the stars has changed the Great Qin Empire in many ways. We will soon feel it. Li Si nodded. Although he did not know what His Majesty meant by the recovery of spiritual energy, it should have something to do with the power of the stars. What followed was a massacre. Li Si was very excited. Ever since those demons appeared, the Great Qin Empire had not won a single battle. It was difficult to even kill those demons. Now, the demons were being massacred by the soldiers of the Empire like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. Even though Li Si was just a civil official, his blood was boiling. He wanted to go down and give it a try himself. Dusk fell. The setting sun was as red as blood. The demons retreated, leaving behind countless rivers of blood that gathered below the Great Wall. We can start the ritual now. A smile appeared on Ing Zheng's face. Chapter 1780. Wang Feng was currently in the ancestral realm. The first batch of human spirits to enter the cycle of human Tao had been reincarnated. As the first batch of human spirits to be reincarnated, it was very special to descend on the ancestral realm. Because Wang Feng needed to make bodies for them. There were no living beings in the ancestral realm, so reproduction was impossible. It was like Goddess Nuwa, who had created humans out of clay. However, it was different for Wang Feng. As the first batch of human spirits, I naturally can't do as I please. The ancestral realm had just been born, so there weren't many treasures, but there weren't few either. After all, it hadn't been developed or nurtured. It wasn't the primitive world it once was, and there were countless connate spirit treasures and rare materials. The ancestral realm was just a seed. A human body is made of flesh and blood. Wang Feng pondered for a moment. As a connate creature of the ancestral realm, I need special blood and bodies to accommodate this batch of human spirits. A body isn't too bad. Humans don't need a strong body. Yen Mengyao thought seriously. But blood is very important. Master can't use your own blood. Wang Feng glared at her. Nonsense. How strong was his blood? How could a human bear it? If he used his blood, then it would be even more difficult to find a body that could bear his blood. His current physical body was a supreme divine body condensed from the power of faith. It was also a body formed by the will of the heavenly embryo. It had been tempered by karmic fire and cultivated for 10,000 years by the life essence. The life essence had already exploded. None of these bodies could be duplicated. Even if his blood was diluted tens of thousands of times, it still wouldn't work. Moreover, as the master of the divine realm, he couldn't give away the blood of a god casually. I can use the living soil of the ancestral realm to create a body. It'll be enough to accommodate these human spirit. Wang Feng tapped with his fingertip and took countless pieces of living soil from the void. With a gentle wave of his hand, the living soil exuding a pure and heavy energy aura turned into fleshly bodies. What about blood? Yan Mingyao asked. Why don't we use the spring water from another place? Although the quality of these connate spirits might be a bit lower after they're formed, humans have endless possibilities. In the divine realm, nurturing post-celestial lifeforms was extremely crucial. The strength of a postnatal living being, the soul, the fleshly body, and the blood, combined to form a living being, were the minions of the gods. Needless to say, those souls were extremely powerful. His physical body wasn't bad either, so his blood wasn't bad either. Blood, Wang Feng did not want to settle for second best. At this moment, he was deep in thought. Wang Feng suddenly felt a strong calling. Was it Yingzheng calling him again? What? Don't tell me that with the power of the stars, they can't defeat those demons? Isn't that too bad? Wang Fengzhen was really puzzled. Then, he felt his mind begin to beat rhythmically. A strong and powerful blood energy, accompanied by the power of faith, kept coming from the world where Yingzheng was. Blood sacrifice? Yingzheng is worshipping me, and using blood as a sacrifice? Wang Feng was stunned. Moreover, it seemed that he had used the blood of those demons. Not bad. At this moment, Xianying City, outside the newly built ancestral god palace, the strong blood energy of the demons spread throughout the palace. All the officials, including Yingzheng, were kneeling outside the palace. Not only them, but the people of Great Qin outside the palace and in Xianying City were also kneeling. They had returned victorious and carried out a blood sacrifice. Naturally, this made the people of Great Qin very excited. Yingzheng stood in the center. The altar in the center wasn't simple. It was the blood of thousands of demons that were killed and sacrificed to the ancestral god. It showed Great Qin's sincerity and determination. Apart from that, there were also 3 animals and 6 animals used for the sacrifice, as well as some ritual tools. However, Yingzheng was a little nervous. He didn't know if the ancestral god would descend or if he would take a fancy to these sacrifices. Just as Yingzheng was feeling nervous, at this moment a light figure suddenly appeared, and a divine aura came from the palace. The sacrifice is meritorious. Good. I hope all of you will continue to work hard. The moment the voice finished, the Hong divine voice made everyone's heart tremble. Yingzheng was overjoyed. It seemed that he didn't disappoint the ancestral god. Meritorious service deserves a reward. The majestic voice sounded again. The blood of countless demons in the center of the altar flew into the light figure like a flowing river. At the same time, a divine light sprinkled down from the sky. In an instant, the 3 beasts and 6 beasts that were illuminated by this divine light underwent drastic changes at this moment. The slaughtered animals immediately came to life. Their bodies shone brightly and emitted different divine cries. At the same time, the ritual tools also began to merge and mutate. Finally, they formed a golden robe. The 3 animals and 6 animals. No, it seemed that they were no longer the 3 animals and 6 animals. They were more like divine beasts descending. They emitted colorful lights in the sky, and their divine aura was awe-inspiring. In the next moment they crashed into the robe and turned into divine statues. Bestow the 3 saints and 6 venerables dragon robe. The robe emitted a peerless aura, like a divine artifact that surpassed the heavens. It landed beside Yingzheng. Yingzheng stared at the robe with his hands trembling slightly. He didn't know what this dragon robe was used for, but it looked extraordinary. He was too embarrassed to ask the ancestor god directly. He must ask more of the group members later. This divine artifact given by the ancestor god must have an extremely powerful effect. Ancestral realm. I was just talking about the blood. I didn't expect Zheng to send it over. Wang Fengxin was delighted. The blood of these demons was extraordinary. These demons are not native creatures of the great Qin world. They are a species from another world. Wang Feng sensed it immediately. It's the aura of a god. Yan Mengyao said, the blood of these demons is mixed with the aura of a god. They should be a descendant of a weaker god from the divine system universe. They should be a descendant that is being nurtured. These descendant races are allowed to come to the small world and be forged with blood and killing. Master, you want this blood? But I don't think it's suitable, Yan Mengyao said. The blood of other gods' descendants was not of high quality. They were not even desolate species descendants. However, the human spirits of the first batch of humans all had the potential to become desolate species descendant. The Emperor's spirit even had the potential to become a divine creature's descendant. Wouldn't it be too lousy to use this kind of blood? No, no, no. Wang Feng smiled. It's not suitable, but this blood is mixed with the power of faith of Zheng and the others. So, I only need to transfer this blood into the chaotic green lotus. This blood will definitely be strengthened with the power of faith. After saying that, Wang Feng did not hesitate to transfer the demon blood that Zheng had offered to him into the chaotic green lotus. As expected, the chaotic green lotus flashed with green light. When the blood appeared again, each drop emitted a pure, strong and clear aura. Yan Mengyao immediately took a deep breath. This blood has been strengthened to such an extent. The first batch of postnatal humans created in this way must be very powerful. They are beyond the level of desolate species. I can't imagine how strong they will be in the future. Chapter 1781. Master, this blood. Yan Mingyao's eyes widened when she saw the blood. The ancestral realm's heavenly Tao, she could clearly feel how powerful the aura contained in the blood was. No, it wasn't powerful. Instead, it was a pure and holy aura. Wang Feng's eyes flickered. It was as he had imagined. The blood had been amplified by the power of faith. Even from a direct point of view, the amplified blood was very powerful. It wasn't inferior to the blood of the gods of the Douluo divine world and the demon gods of the dark demon world. Of course, blood wasn't the only standard to measure an expert, but it was the basic element. Soul, body, blood, all three. I wonder how big of a change there will be when the first batch of human spirits are born the day after tomorrow. Wang Fengxin was looking forward to it. Without saying a word, Wang Feng directly injected the blood into the fleshly bodies made of living earth. In an instant, a surging sense of power surged out of the bodies like a raging wave. Yan Mengyao, activate the human Tao reincarnation, Wang Feng ordered. Okay. Yan Mengyao immediately replied. Wang Feng could only let her control the reincarnation of the ancestral realm's heavenly Tao for now. In the underworld realm, the moment the human Tao reincarnation began to operate, the first batch of void souls began to reincarnate. Wang Feng waited quietly. In just a moment, these dozens of bodies began to undergo real changes. Like the beginning of a baby, each body that emitted a majestic aura began to open their eyes. In an instant, there was a moment of haziness. But in the blink of an eye, they seemed to have realized something. Wang Feng stood in midair and looked at them quietly. Their souls and bodies were all created by him. Their blood wasn't considered, but it was also infused with the power of faith after using the Chaos Green Lotus to amplify and purify the demon blood. In a sense, they were his direct subjects. They were the most traditional kind of clan tribe in the God System universe. In the history of the God System universe, at the beginning, the clans of the gods were creatures created by themselves. It didn't include the clans that were modified by collecting faith from other worlds and leaving behind divine imprint. Later, because this method of clans grew too slowly and didn't conform to the development of the God system universe, they were eliminated. Now, most of the clans of the gods in the God system universe were modified using divine imprint. Father. Amidst the confusion of the dozens of human spirits, one of them was the most special. He directly shouted towards the direction where Wang Feng was. They were born with the ability to speak, possessing powerful intelligence and extraordinary spiritual wisdom. As this human shouted, his body seemed to be emitting endless charm and radiance. The other humans followed suit and shouted. There was a strange look in Wang Feng's eyes. The voices of these humans were not in any language, but they were the embryonic form of a language, and the human spirit in the lead was the creator. This is the ancestral realm. I created you in the hopes that you can bring glory to the human race in this realm. Wang Feng used his divine will to inform them, injecting it into their souls so that they could understand what he meant. After saying that, Wang Feng disappeared. Together with Yan Mengyao, they went up to the clouds and observed the situation of the human spirits. Master, their talents are extremely strong, but they have yet to develop and utilize them. I'm afraid that it will take a very long time. Yan Mengyao pondered. But then, her tone changed. But one of them is very special. His soul contains a special power of faith. He has the bearing of the human emperor. Perhaps he will lead the human race to grow quickly. Next, which path of reincarnation do you intend to open? Wang Feng did not say anything. He planned to observe the development of these humans for a period of time. Let's take a look at the chat group first. Speaking of which, it seems that someone is calling this god again. In the chat group, borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. Everyone, thank you. The matter has been perfectly resolved. To She Ancient Emperor Jade. Big Brother 10,000 years, how did you resolve it? Can you tell us? With Ing Zheng's appearance, the group members who were still lurking in the chat group immediately became active. Fan Yi, for you to say the word perfect, could it be that the ancestor god has descended again? Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. You guessed right, but it's not easy for me to say. This time, I have also recorded the situation. I can show it to you all. Ing Zheng was not stingy. He was not worried about revealing information about the world he was in. Although these group members came from all over the world, they were all from different worlds. Ing Zheng knew that they were on the same side now. Fan Yi, it seems that you must be very shocked. So shocked that you can't explain it normally. Otherwise, you wouldn't have posted another video. Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. To She Ancient Emperor Jade. It seems that I was right. I wonder what it is this time. Yong and Pawn Shop's waiter. There's something good to watch again. Can you send something that I can understand? Although he felt that the video Ing Zheng posted previously was very powerful, he really couldn't understand it. People can't betray me. Yong and Pawn Shop's waiter, I heard from you that there is a shoe mountain in your world, right? There are also some immortals. The mysterious person you mentioned previously suddenly appeared in the sky and said that you are the savior of this world. It is obvious that he is an expert who can break through the void. Why can't you understand it? Yong and Pawn Shop's waiter. Big Brother Chow. I don't know if there are immortals or not, but I am just an ordinary person. Fan Yi. Waiter, don't underestimate yourself. That mysterious person said that you are the savior of this world. Obviously, there were only two possibilities for such a scheme. Either you are the reincarnation of a very powerful expert in your previous life and have the power to fight against calamities, or the other party is playing with you. I am more inclined towards the former. Yong and Pawn Shop's waiter. After I memorize the Great Tao God Summoning chapter, I will choose an auspicious day and recite it seriously. At that time, I hope that the ancestor god will descend and clear my doubts. I don't want to be the savior of this world. I just want to earn money. Ding, borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens uploaded a video. Sacrifice, almost instantly, the others accepted the request to watch it. Ingzheng remained silent. He had some understanding of the people in this group. Fan Yi was a young man who came from a certain future world. It was hard to say how strong he was, but his vision was very high. As for this waiter, he looked just like an ordinary person. But the world he came from should be extraordinary. She ancient Emperor Jade was clearly from a special world. He was more amiable and his words were more gentle. He should be a girl. As for that, people can't betray me. He was clearly an overlord of an empire similar to himself. But the level of the world he came from was also very high. It might even be related to the world he came from. I wonder what the use of my dragon robe is. After they finished watching it, I will ask them. I should be able to get an answer. Ingzheng thought. He waited quietly. End of this chapter. Chapter 1782. Earth. Yi Fan first washed his face, then made a pot of Biluakun tea. Then, he started watching the video that Ingzheng uploaded. In fact, Yi Fan already knew the identity of 10,000 years from the first video. After all, that video was from Ingzheng's perspective. He could guess who it was. As for the others, Yi Fan had no idea if he could guess them. Normally, Brother Chao should know because the Eastern Han dynasty he lived in was after the Great Qin dynasty. He should know about Ingzheng, the emperor with a special identity. However, Brother Chao's world was not the normal Three Kingdoms world. It was a world with extremely high martial strength. Even if it was a parallel universe, history might be different. After the video started, Yi Fan took a deep breath and watched quietly. Ingzheng recorded the process from the beginning when Meng Tian led Great Qin's soldiers out of the Great Wall to capture the demons. Yi Fan was fascinated by the video. He was interested in ancient culture and history. The more he watched, the more fascinated he was. Those demons are so strong. I thought they were just the Xiongnu people in the north of the Great Qin Empire. Damn it, are they real demons? These demons look more like the demons in fairy tales or those in the fantasy immortal love world. No wonder the dignified first emperor was so destitute at that time. He even laid on the sickbed in the end. Before he died, he only asked to preserve the human race's bloodline of the Great Qin Empire. Such an ancient world with special cold weapons is completely at a crushing level. Unless it's Brother Chao's martial Three Kingdoms world, Yi Fan broke out in cold sweat. Soon, he was shocked to see Meng Tian leading Great Qin's soldiers out of the Great Wall. How can they be so strong? Yi Fan murmured, is the power of the stars so terrifying? It can make these soldiers of the cold weapon era reach such heights so quickly? It's as if they have broken through the constraints of a feudal civilization and stepped into a higher level of the martial world. With a sweep of Meng Tian's spear, those demons were turned into tofu. The more Yi Fan watched, the more shocked he became. He knew that if a star could be crushed and reconstructed in Ingzheng's world, it would definitely bring changes to that world. The recovery of spiritual energy. However, the change was too fast. After all, that's the energy of a star. Yi Fan's mouth twitched slightly. He could understand a little. Suppressing the shock in his heart, he slowly looked at it. Until he saw the blood sacrifice. Good fellow, I was wondering why he wanted to kill demons. After all, he can restore the prestige of the country. He even wanted to use the blood of demons as a sacrifice to the ancestor god to show that he did not disappoint the ancestor god. What a good idea! In addition to the blood of those demons, there are also 3 animals and 6 animals, as well as ceremonial utensils and jade. These are all standard for ancient sacrifices. There is nothing special. He watched and watched until the ancestor god descended. Yi Fan's eyes widened, and he could not help but blurt out, F***ck. Almost at the same time, In the chat group, the two she ancient emperors Jade said. The 3 beasts and 6 beasts that were sacrificed directly evolved? I have never seen such a thing. That was just an ordinary animal. How could it suddenly become such a powerful and terrifying mythological beast? I feel that aura is even stronger than the Doshings here. I'm doubting my life. Aura, it was just aura. It made her feel that the 3 beasts and 6 animals had turned into ferocious beasts that could destroy the world at any moment. The world can't betray me. It is very strong. This should be enlightenment. With a flick of the finger, it can transform ordinary beasts and 6 animals. I feel that I might need to mobilize at least tens of thousands of strong soldiers and dozens of good generals before I can barely deal with it. Compared to the 10,000 years ago, even if your soldiers have become stronger, they might not be as strong as the 3 beasts and 6 animals. It was just a polite remark. Actually, he wanted to say that it was far from being as strong as the 3 beasts. Yong and Pon's shop assistant, scared. However, I am more interested in the dragon robe at the back. That thing should be very valuable, right? Look at the video. It was bestowed by the ancestor god himself? Fan Yi, valuable? That is not something that can be measured with money. More accurately, it was not bestowed by the ancestor god. Instead, the ancestor god directly transformed those 3 beasts and 6 animals on the spot, as well as those ceremonial items, jade and silk, fusing them together and transforming them. Didn't you see those evolved beasts turning into totems and fusing into the dragon robe? Yong and Pon's shop assistant. That is too exaggerated. Forgive me for not noticing it. I have embarrassed our group too. She ancient emperor's jade. Borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years. That dragon robe is a peerless treasure. Big brother 10,000 years, you are rich. It might be more valuable than everything in your world combined. The world can't betray me. Let's not talk about your world. Even if we combine everything in our world, we should be able to make do with it. Ing Zheng's face was filled with pride. However, his expression did not change as he said, "Is that so? Sigh, it is a pity that I can't use it. I don't know what use it has. After all, I have a lot of dragon robes. Fan Yi, big brother, your tone makes me very unhappy." Yong and Pon's shop assistant, envy. JPG. 2 She ancient emperor's jade. Hee, I think I know what use it has. Borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years. If you don't know what use it has, you can lend it to someone who needs it first. For example, I can help you test out what use this dragon robe has. Brother 10,000 years, what do you think? Lemon. JPG. Borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years. Cough cough, forget it. Actually, I just want to ask everyone what use this dragon robe has. The level of your world is higher. You should know more about it than me. Fan Yi. Although the level of my world is not high, I think that this dragon robe has the 3 beasts and 6 beasts, as well as ceremonial utensils. They represent life and culture. To a country, this is the foundation. Therefore, this thing should be able to suppress the fate of a country. The world can't betray me. Be more confident. Remove the word should. Not only can it suppress the fate of a country, as long as you wear it, it can even allow your country to prosper for eternity. After wearing it for a long time, you might even be able to awaken the 3 beasts and 6 beasts totems on the dragon robe and summon them out for battle. That would be even more terrifying. Just this dragon robe alone, not to mention suppressing the fate of a country, just the strategic significance is already comparable to half of my army's strength. No. I'm too jealous. I'm going offline first. If I take another look at it, I can't help but want to get this dragon robe. After saying that, he really went offline. Borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years. Shock. JPG. So powerful? Fan Yi, brother 10,000 years, I seriously suspect that you are here to show off. No, I have to think of a way to let the ancestor god notice me. Yong and pawn shop's employee. That's too difficult. We are just ordinary people. Even if we pray sincerely, my wish is only to earn money. I reckon that even the ancestor god wouldn't care about this little wish of mine. Should I change my goal and set it further? 2. She ancient emperor's jade. Being able to have this realization proves that you have already grown up. So, how do you intend to change your goal? Yong and pawn shop's employee. To become the richest person in the world. What do you think? 2. She ancient emperor's jade. Fan Yi. Big brother, why do you only have money in your eyes? Why don't you be more realistic? For example, didn't that mysterious person say that there is a great calamity in your world? Let the ancestor god bestow you with power so that you can quickly eliminate that great calamity. Don't you think it's better to become the savior of the world and become an expert? Yong and pawn shop's employee. No. Fan Yi. This child can't be taught. 2. She ancient emperor's jade. I have also thought of what I should do. I'm going offline too. At this moment, Wang Feng came to the chat group. When he saw this sentence, he was slightly stunned. This child should be from the Battlechi continent. P.S. Everyone, Happy New Year. Chapter 1783. Douchi Continent, Wu-Tan City, Shao Clan, Back Mountain. Shao Sun Er's face was slightly red. She was very excited. Ancestral God, if I can get the attention of the ancestral God, I should be able to solve Shao Yen Gija's training problem. Shao Sun Er was very excited. From the video, the ancestral God was almost omnipotent. Crushing a star could easily change the situation of the world. This kind of power was beyond her imagination. Shao Yan's training problem, to the ancestral God, would be a piece of cake. Thinking of this, Shao Sun Er sighed. Unfortunately, it would be very difficult to get the attention of the ancestral God. If Xiang Tian borrowed another 10,000 years, he would be the emperor of the human world. He would be able to summon the ancestral God by chanting the Tao God summoning chapter. But with her identity, would chanting the Tao God summoning chapter be effective? Thinking of this, Shao Sun Er was a little nervous. Let's try it out. Shao Sun Er took a deep breath. Actually, she had already memorized the Tao God summoning chapter, but she was still a little afraid. Afraid that she would fail. Shao Sun Er closed her eyes and started chanting. At this time, a young man came from afar. Sun Er, what are you doing? The young man asked from afar. Shao Sun Er opened her eyes. Seeing the young man, she hesitantly shook her head and smiled. Nothing, Shao Yen Gij, why are you here? She didn't want to tell him about the ancestral god. Nothing, I'm just taking a walk in the back mountain. The young man walked over and forced a smile. Shao Sun Er was silent. She knew that in a few days it would be time to test his douqi. In fact, she didn't need to test to know that Shao Yan's douqi didn't increase at all, instead it was regressing. After thinking for a while, Shao Sun Er asked, Shao Yen Gij, do you believe in an omnipotent god? The young man turned his head and looked at Shao Sun Er with a strange face. Sun Er, why are you asking this? God? The young man looked at the sky. Is there really a god in this world? As a transmigrator, Shao Yen received education from his previous life. He didn't think there was a god. Even after coming to this continent, Shao Yen didn't think there was a god. Even if there was a god, it was just a stronger human. Omnipotent, Shao Yen laughed involuntarily. Seeing Shao Yan smile, Shao Sun Er frowned and didn't say anything else. Shao Yen seemed to have sensed something and said in a deep voice, Sun Er, don't tell me you've met some swindler? You don't have to worry about me. My douqi. I can handle it myself. Don't be deceived by others just because of this little problem of mine. In the entire Shao clan, other than his father, he had the best relationship with Sun Er. At this moment, hearing Sun Er's words, Xiao Yan's sharp mind naturally realized that Sun Er might have believed in some swindlers because of her own training. Sun Er paused and sighed. Xiao Yan Ji is too alert. He noticed it in an instant. Not a scammer, Sun Er said seriously. It's a real god. Xiao Yan Ji, perhaps I have found a way to help you train again. Since Xiao Yan Ji had already noticed, Sun Er didn't plan to hide it anymore. Hearing this, Xiao Yan did not smile. He only coldly laughed. Is that so? Then, did that swindler have any requests? What price do you or I have to pay? We don't have much money. It's free. Sun Er shook her head. We don't have to pay anything. Xiao Yan's face changed. He looked at Sun Er and sighed. Sun Er, are you stupid? How can there be such a good thing in this world? My father has asked countless people to look at my training problems. Which one of them is free? There's no such thing as a free lunch. He must be plotting something. Sun Er, don't be stupid. Sun Er thought about it and felt that Xiao Yan Ji's words made sense. But, it's not that we don't have to pay anything. Sun Er thought for a while. For a god, isn't money very tacky? Oh right, you told me some stories when we were young. You said that the gods in the heavens would build temples in the mortal world. Mortals would offer incense to the gods in the temples and pray for their wishes. The gods in the heavens, after receiving the incense, would protect the mortals and fulfill their wishes. Xiao Yan opened his mouth. These are all legends from Earth. How can you take them seriously? Plus, this is the Do-Chi continent. Where did the gods in the heavens come from? Even though he didn't know what the strongest people in the continent were like, even if they were weaker than the gods in the legends, they shouldn't be that much weaker. They aren't even from the same world, how can they be compared? Xiao Yan knew that Sun Er was obsessed. The heavens are the heavens, the mortal world is the mortal world. Those are just stories. Plus, there's no such god in this world. Xiao Yan explained, if you really want to talk about gods, then the legendary Do-Di might be a god. No. Sun Er shook her head. I don't know how strong a Do-Di is, but that god is definitely much stronger than a Do-Di. To us, he's the god in your stories. Xiao Yan was silent. That scammer seems to have some skills. No, I can't let Sun Er fool me like this. He thought to himself. Sun Er, don't worry about it. Also, don't talk about gods, I won't believe it. Xiao Yan said. As long as he doesn't accept it, Sun Er will be fooled. Xiao Yan Sun Er was helpless. Originally, she wanted to wait until she finished chanting and see if the ancestor god would descend. That's for later. Now that Xiao Yan doesn't believe it, if the ancestor god knows, he won't give Xiao Yan any grace, let alone help him. He isn't even devout, why would the ancestor god help him? What's the use of being devout? Sun Er was troubled. Originally, she had already planned it out. Looks like I need to wait for a few more days. Sun Er thought. Just like that, Sun Er could only hide in the chat group. Until she saw the second video of Borrow 10,000 Years from the Heavens. Sun Er was tempted again. With a flick of his finger, he can turn an ordinary animal into a divine beast. He can turn a ceremonial item into a dragon robe. To Xiao Yan helping him to cultivate again is just a matter of blowing air. Sun Er's heart was beating fast. The Do-Chi test is coming, this can't be delayed. With Xiao Yan talent, as long as he can cultivate again, it won't be hard for him to catch up. Thus, Sun Er found Xiao Yan again. Sun Er, don't tell me you want to talk about gods again? Xiao Yan seemed to have expected this. His face showed a confident smile. Sun Er, I really don't need to talk about gods, I can already cultivate. Really, if you don't believe me, take a look. Saying that, Xiao Yan slightly activated his Do-Chi and punched the tree in front of him. Bang! The tree trembled. Although it was hard to feel the movement of Do-Chi, Xiao Sun Air could feel that Xiao Yin Ji has improved. Chapter 1784. Have I really recovered? Xiao Sun Air wondered. That's why I don't need a god. Xiao Yin said confidently. Ha, God? How can there be a god in this world? An old laugh appeared in Xiao Yan's mind. This little girl is so worried about you. She is so easily deceived. Yao Lao, I think you are a god. Xiao Yin replied with a smile. I am not a god. I have said that I was not even a Dodi when I was alive. How can I be a god? Moreover, the problem with your training is not a difficult problem. It is just that I cough. It is only right for me to let you enjoy the good times. Yao Lao said. Suddenly, Yao Lao frowned. Why do I feel a few special ripples? Your Wu Tan city doesn't have a Do Huang, right? Do Huang? How can we have someone of that level? Xiao Yin shook his head. Then I might have been mistaken. Yao Lao muttered. However, his voice had just sounded. Suddenly, a pitch-black figure descended from the distance. It landed on the ground right in front of Xiao Sun. It was an old man. The old man was wearing a black robe. His face was ashen and his body was covered in wounds. His eyes had almost collapsed. You are old Ling? Xiao Sun Air was shocked. What happened? Why are you like this? The old man in front of her was called Ling Ying. He was a Do Huang. He was a strong person that the clan had arranged to secretly protect her. They rarely appeared or even never appeared. She had not seen them for a few years. She did not expect them to appear in such a manner this time around. Miss, quick, leave the Xiao clan. The old man seemed to be holding his breath as he said weakly. Hun clan. The Hun clan has discovered your location and seems to know something. They are already here. Xiao Sun Air was stunned. Her heart trembled. Hun clan. How could they know where she was? No, even if they knew, how could they attack so quickly? Was it because of the two ancient gods' jade? Moreover, even if they attacked, with old Ling's strength Xiao Sun Air's eyes shrunk. If the Hun clan had already attacked, then the clan, Sun Air, what is the situation? Xiao Yin hurriedly asked. As he spoke, he touched the ring on his finger. Kid, get out of here quickly. Yao Lao said in a deep voice, I have a bad premonition. Xiao Yin frowned slightly. What the hell was going on? Xiao Yin Ji, let's quickly leave this place. Xiao Sun Air clenched her fists and looked at Ling Ying. Although her mind was in a mess, she knew that the situation had changed and she had to leave. Where are we going? What's the situation that I don't know? Xiao Yin glanced at the old man. He appeared to be about to die, but his aura was still so strong. Young mistress. The soul race. What the hell, however, right at this moment, several ice-cold voices sounded from all directions. Leave? I'm afraid they can. So they really are hiding here. It seems like my god was right. This should be Xiao Yin, right? And this daughter with the ancient bloodline, Xiao Sun Air. So she was hiding here. Xiao Yin, tsk, how many Duan Do Chi are you? Such a piece of trash. Is this guy really the son of destiny that my god is looking for? What af king piece of trash. How could someone like that become the child of destiny? I really don't know how our soul clan was defeated. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A couple of human figures were suspended in the air around the few of them. Each of them was emitting an extremely powerful aura. Just that frightening pressure alone seemed to be able to shatter everything. This was the first time that Xiao Yin had sensed such a level of pressure. Forget about opening his mouth to speak. At this moment, his entire body was unable to move even a little. Yao Lao, what level are these people? Xiao Yin asked in shock. Yao Lao was silent for a long time before he softly said, They are Do Shings, the strongest person below a Do Di. Hun clan, it is actually the Hun clan. Yao Lao, what should we do now? Xiao Yan muttered. Close your eyes, Yao Lao said. Xiao Yan asked. Yao Lao, what do you mean? Just wait for death, Yao Lao said. Xiao Yan's heart leaped. The old me was merely a one-star Doshing when I was alive. Now that there are so many Doshings, even I would not have been able to defeat them when I was alive. Moreover, they are from the Hun clan. Yao Lao sighed. Time does not wait for me. Doshing, Xiao Yan muttered. Damn it. I am only a 4th level Dochi and now a Doshing has come. What is going on? Xiao Yan's face was dazed as he looked at the few human figures in the sky. At this moment, Xiao Sun Er by the side gently patted Xiao Yan's shoulder and softly said, Xiao Yan Ji, don't be afraid. I have a way. Sun Er, don't speak nonsense. No, how did I offend a Doshing? Xiao Yan's mind was a mess. Xiao Sun Er was silent. She did not know why. The Hun clan was actually able to discover them so quickly. Look, these 2 children are still in a daze. A Doshing in the midair laughed. It is so easy to obtain them. Quickly capture them. Later on, we will also make a trip to the Misty Cloud sect in the Jiama Empire. My God said that there are 2 children of destiny there. However, these 2 are the true masters. As long as we bring these children of destiny back to our God, our Hun clan will be the only overlord of the continent. What 8 ancient clans, what Do-Dihmv? The few Doshings laughed coldly. Stop saying nonsense. I will go and capture these 2 fellows. A Doshing frowned and said. After speaking, he flew toward Xiao Sun Er and Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan Ji, repeat after me. Remember, you must be sincere. Xiao Sun Er quickly said. Whether we can survive or not will depend on this. Ah? Good. Xiao Yan was stunned for a couple of seconds before he hurriedly replied. At this moment, he could no longer be bothered about anything else. He vaguely knew that Sun Er might have thought of that god again. However, at this moment, he could only try everything he could. Soon after, Xiao Yan followed Xiao Sun Er and recited the Great Tao Summoning God chapter. It was very short. There were less than a dozen words. Xiao Sun Er recited it quickly. She did not recite it word by word like she usually did. However, at this moment, her entire mind was calm. There was only one will in her mind, which was to summon the ancestor god. Xiao Yan by the side was unaware of anything. However, he was also reciting it seriously. At this moment, that Doshing had already approached. The moment the last word was spoken, Yi Zichen's expression changed. In an instant, a divine light suddenly rose from the 2 of them and charged into the clouds. That Doshing hurriedly stopped. He was extremely stunned as he watched this scene. Following this ray of divine light, an imposing figure of a colossal figure appeared in the sky. It was blurry, but it seemed real at the same time. Eternity, and supreme aura accompanied this colossal shadow, filling every corner of the sky. Xiao Sun Er's heart was beating wildly. The ancestor god had appeared. How was this possible? When she was reciting it, she was reciting it too quickly. She even made a few mistakes compared to the usual times. However, the ancestor god had actually descended? The first time she recited it seriously, she succeeded? What is that? Xiao Yan opened his eyes. Looking at this scene, he was completely stunned. Ancestor god above, I am in danger, can you help me? Xiao Sun Er immediately knelt down and kowtowed seriously. I am the 2 she ancient god Jade. God? Boy, hurry up and kneel. Yao Lao crazily shouted in Xiao Yan's mind. Your chance to live is here. Hurry up, stop daydreaming. Xiao Yan reacted and immediately knelt down. However, he asked in his heart, Yao Lao, didn't you say that there is no god in this world? Sun Er summoned this huge light figure. Could it be that a Do-Di has descended? But how can there be a Do-Di in this world? Isn't that just a legend? Do-Di. Yao Lao's voice trembled. How can this be the divine aura of a Do-Di? I don't know whether he is a god or not. However, whether you and that little girl can survive now depends on this god. Xiaoyan. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.